Hello, and welcome to, what are we now? The fourth quarter of the year in terms of video games, the games as a whole. Where we'll be talking, of course, the game of the year here in good old 2020 at DualShockers. I have a huge cast of people. There's too many names, but I'm going to try my best to get through them. As you can see on the screen in front of you, it is me, Mario Rivera. Hi, how's it going? I, of course, have me, Logan Moore, former DualShocker, new comic book man. Is that who you are? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ghost of DualShockers Past coming through.
Yeah, and you're not the only one. We'll get to that other ghost soon. Of course, underneath him, we have Ryan Meltzer. How you doing, Ryan?
Oh, it's Bugs next.
Yes! Yeah. So excited. Is that on the list? Yes, it is on the list. Thank God. I can't wait. Underneath me, of course, is the one and only Yakuza fanboy in my eyes, Ricky Freck. How are you doing, buddy?
Oh, wow.
Wow!
In my eyes.
The man who reviewed the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow!
Yeah.
Look, I'll take it, but
Shots fired.
He hasn't even played the whole series yet.
How do you know?
All right, well, since we're talking in front of you, next up, I have some of us already know about Cam Hawkins. This is not Cam Hawkins. Cameron, can you name yourself? You're Cam the Younger.
I'm Cam the Younger. I'm the other Cam. Even though I think I'm older than Cameron Hawkins, but it's fine.
That's awesome. And of course, the young baby boy who is my Robin, Nicholas Blaine. How you doing, Nicholas?
can we swear?
Yeah, you get to say whatever the fuck you want, dude.
Fuck Mario. What up?
God damn.
Get ready to Titans, guys.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Fuck,
Oh no.
Oh god. And then of course, the only one that is a Yakuza fan in my eyes, Chris Connolese. How are you doing?
I'm so confused right now. Thank you.
Such a mix of emotions.
Otto,
I also like Yakuza.
also coming up, Otto Cracky. How you doing, my cyberpunk buddy? How you doing?
Not enough neon. Not enough neon. Not enough chrome in my face and teeth, but feeling good otherwise.
All right, great. We're going to be talking about some video games. And of course, the number one Yakuza fan in my life, Michael Ruiz. How you doing? Also goes to Forward Fast.
I like this fit.
This is a good bit.
I don't like
That's
this
great.
at all. I'm gonna leave. I think now.
Just change the camera filters.
Yeah, just change your camera filters. There you go.
I'll get on that.
All right. And of course, my other fellow video editor, fellow friend, fellow writer, fellow host of RPG University. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I'm not on Rational Passions. How you doing, Scott White? How you doing?
Doing well, but feel free to pitch my show. That's perfectly fine.
Again, everyone as much free publicity as they want. Comic book boys and non-writers. Anyways, again, we are here, of course, to talk about the game of the year. If you watched our previous four videos that we have done previous to this, we just talk basically game by game, going through it. So that way, when it comes to the actual game of the year, we've kind of have a decent deciding on what we decide for game of the year. So to really just start up, I think, should we just jump right into it, guys?
I think Mike is activating a brain dance right now.
Oh no! Disclosure.
We put epilepsy warning before the podcast. Oh no!
Oh no.
I'm gonna have to do that.
Oh
Yeah.
no, that one was very scary.
Oh no! All right, you're not even on screen anymore.
My.
Speaking about brain dances, let's talk about Crash Bandicoot 4.
Woo!
Here we go.
Crash of the Live, guys.
Who wants to talk about that train wreck? It's a pretty good game, right?
Really good game.
I reviewed it actually.
Yeah?
I believe
Tell us
I
about
gave it. I believe I gave it an 8.
That's pretty good.
Why?
It's why?
No, I'm kidding.
It's a good question. Why? It feels like an eternity ago.
Yeah,
But
it should have been a 10, right?
no. I'll say that as the
There's
resident
that.
crash defender. I'll say that as the resident crash defender. No.
Yeah, no, it's. I agree with him. It's definitely not on the game of the year list, but it's really good.
That's on our game of the year list. That's why we're talking about it.
It's a standout platformer this year. It kind of modernizes Crash in a great way. All the animations are just delightful, and each level is fun to run through at least once. The one gripe that I had with it is just the absurd amount of collectibles. I'm not a huge collectible person. If you really are, you can probably play that game till 2022 if you want. I wouldn't, and I love Crash. But Crash Bandicoot 4 is a very solid entry in the series, and it gives me hope for what Toys for Bob is going to do with the Crash franchise going forward. Logan, stop giving me that look.
I agree with Otto's sentiments. It's a very good Crash game. Quite possibly the best Crash game. But I know Logan's gonna say.
I'm not gonna say anything.
That's not saying much, but it's a real good game.
It's not the best, but it's really good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I wanted to play that game, but in terms of my actual use case of the games, I've only watched it played because I actually do the video editing for MC Fixer and his videos. So I've only seen gameplay. I've never actually held a controller, but from what I've seen, it looked pretty good. Eventually I'll give it a shot. But yeah, does anybody else have anything to say on
who is the one of the other playable characters that everybody's like, oh, don't you remember Dingo
Dial.
Dingo Dial.
Yeah.
Logan.
Come on, a classic character, everybody. You get to play as Dingo
Read a
Dial.
comic book over here. We're over here we're rad dudes over here with Crash. You know what I'm saying?
Logan clearly doesn't know his Crash Bandicoot lore.
Yeah.
I forgot to read
think-
the prequel novels.
I think the Crash games have looked really good. This is definitely on my list to play. I was impressed with the trilogy, but I think everyone really has to realize that it should be Sly Cooper getting the reboot in all these new games, and not Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
It should be Jack and Dax.
I'd be down for Sly Cooper or Jack and Dax.
You're saying
Hey, man,
Mike, get your
those
hands up?
clowns over at Sucker Punch are making bad samurai games and not making good Sly Cooper games. So
I would take. Yeah, I agree, Logan. I agree.
And
Give me
Naughty
a
Dog.
Ghost of Tsushima scale Sly Cooper game.
Where's the crossover?
Oh.
there is the armor in.
Yeah, you do get the Sly armor.
Can't find the armor.
And
I was
Naughty
hoping
Dog
you could get the Sly cane as a weapon, though. That would have been
That'd be
cool.
pretty cool.
That would have been cool. I was hoping there would have been an Easter egg alluding to. I think it's Ryoichi Cooper. I think he's the one that's in the Japanese
Yeah.
era. I was really hoping that it would have
all right. Enough.
drop
That was third
Now we're
quarter.
talking about a good franchise.
Yeah,
Anyways, Crash 4, play it if you like platformers.
All right,
Anyways.
fair enough. Moving on. We're gonna move to the best franchise of all time.
Hold on one second.
no, what?
I just realized there's something missing here.
What's
Didn't
missing?
Tony Hawk come out this month on September?
No. We talked about Tony Hawk last time.
That was last.
Oh, I
I
wasn't.
think it was end
Really?
of August.
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot was
September.
October. Yeah.
Man, my dates are all wrong here.
Time has no meaning in 2020. It's perfectly fine.
All right.
All right. Going on to the next game. Of course, we will be talking about Star Wars Squadrons. Pretty prolific franchise for many. I mean, in terms of the actual flight games from over the years. But this was obviously a new entry. Who actually played it here? Who's the groups? We got
I did
Ryan?
the
I played it as well.
Okay. Ryan, tell me about it.
Star Wars Squadrons is a great Star Wars game, specifically because it has my beloved Y-Wings in it. But no, other than that, I think it is really, I think, a great, and obviously I think, coming off of Fallen Order last year, Star Wars, I think has been having a pretty good streak for as far as EA Star Wars games. And I think I'm a lover of Rogue Squadron, sort of those flight-based games. So Squadrons definitely sort of scratches that itch for me of having a really good flight-based Star Wars game. And the story isn't super deep, you'll blow through it pretty quickly. It's more or less kind of a tutorial for the actual game, but the multiplayer and just the gameplay itself is really fun, and I think it's definitely one of the games I've had the most enjoyment playing this year. So even though I don't know if it's necessarily going to be my game of the year pick or anything, but it's definitely a game that I've I think looking back at everything that came out this year, Squadrons is one that I've had the most fun with.
Fair enough. Cam, you had something to say?
I definitely enjoy Squadrons a lot. I feel like EA was kind of just dragging their feet a little when it came to putting good content out. But I loved Fallen Order as well, but that's a whole other conversation. But no, Squadrons was great. Everything Ryan said. It looked great. I wish I had the capabilities to play it in VR because I would have loved to experience that. But again,
It's best in VR.
yeah.
I was actually gonna ask that. So I have this, I haven't played it yet, and it's something I want to get to. Is it worth playing solely on VR though? If I have the means to do so.
If you play just in VR, you're gonna have much better time.
Okay. Because I really liked the flight demo they did a few years ago on Battlefront 2. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
So the fact that this full game is in,
I would suggest
sounds
it.
really
I
cool.
think it's still really enjoyable if you play it in non-VR.
It is.
Like most
Yeah,
of
it's
the
okay.
like I only played it a little bit in VR just to like test it out, but I think like overall, yeah, I think the VR definitely adds like a nice nice element to it.
Should have been pod racing though. Anyways, let's go on to the next game.
Jesus. Anything to get away from pod racing.
Every time.
Oh,
We'll get
God.
there one day.
This next game.
That pod racing game did release this year, though. They re-released
a
the pod
re-release.
Technically, yes.
Doesn't count.
There's a pod
So the
racing
pod
game
racing
out
series
there.
is kicking rocks, and like kicking rocks, you're kicking balls. Ricky, can you please tell us about FIFA 21?
Yeah, so we'll go quick through this one. So FIFA 21 continues to be basically the same game as FIFA 20. The one
Shocker.
thing that, okay, here's the issue. FIFA 21, when it's good, like when the servers are working, the gameplay is really fun. Unfortunately, EA would rather spend all their money, I don't know, like on booze cruises or whatever they're doing, because they don't spend it on their servers. So the gameplay sucks. The one thing that was good last year was the menu content. So I know no one else here plays it, so I'll have to do a little bit of explaining. But like you have these challenges you can complete every day by using the players you have in your team to like get better cards for better players, or to get, different stuff you want. In the past, all of that has been stuff you could trade on their transfer market. So you could get back money that you put in to get more money, and then you go get more players until at the end of the game you have the best players, right? That makes sense. So now this year, they've made it all untradeable. So basically what's happened is in the past, it's like if you went to you took a game you didn't like, you took it to GameStop and you sold them the game, you got money back, you can spend it anywhere, right?
Yeah, I've been
This
there.
year, This year it's all changed to you don't have the choice to get the money back. You just have GameStop credit all the time.
Oh, no.
So it's pretty much like killed the good part of the game. So now it's left with like this shambolic.
So you're left pouring your
Farce.
time endlessly night after night into the bad part of the game.
Yeah. So here's the other problem is like today and this is my problem, not EA's problem, but like today they released this new like what do you call it, like teaser for the next promo, and I was like, ooh, that card design looks good. I gotta see what they're doing next. So they just like have me. So like that's my problem, is I'm just so addicted that it doesn't even matter how bad it is, that I just want to keep playing because I love
gotcha.
football, and yeah, I'm too invested. It's that,
Ricky, I have a question. How many microtransaction dollars do you think you've poured into this game all time across all iterations?
That is really an intervention.
Here's the good news on that front. I did not spend money until I started this job, and part of that is like I let myself buy it, being like, ooh, I got to keep up with it now. Like in the past, I was just like, less serious about it, but now I was like, ooh, I'm writing about it. There's a reason to keep up with it. So I would say last year I probably spent around $1,000.
Whoa.
Jesus.
And
You're not as bad as one of my friends has spent like $5 to $10,000 on League of Legends money in his life. So
this year,
you're not.
Microtransactions are evil, people. This is why.
So yeah.
I was
Hey,
expecting 1,000.
Hey, in fairness, my friend who's poured like $10,000 into League, he can afford it, so he's doing fine. So
I can
he's what
afford
you
it too,
call a
yeah.
whale.
Yeah, when I had a full-time job, I could afford it too, but now I cannot. So I haven't spent any money this year. So
That's
I'm off
progress.
that bandwagon.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
How is Andrew Wilson going to get his annual bonus, Ricky? Come on.
Sorry, Andrew. You'll just have to fire some more people.
He does.
Don't worry, they
Just
will.
take a page out of the Activision playbook, baby. Come on. Just lay off 10% of your staff and
How are you supposed to get that premium Ronaldo card?
No, that's not even real. No, those aren't real cards. No one has that.
I just want to say that I know we're like making light of all this, but I can see it on like Chris's face that he's like actively like getting frustrated beneath the surface.
Oh yeah, it's hot garbage.
Nothing personal, but man, I hate this industry.
I love I love when Mike brought up the premium Ronaldo card. No, there's no such card. I would know it.
No. What I'm saying is,
You do not understand me. I am at the premium level.
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that card is like 15 million coins on the market, and the only people who have that are the people that open like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of packs every year.
That's what I'm saying.
I was gonna say, open hundreds of thousands of packs. That seems like it'd take a very long time if you're opening that many.
It'd be very, very expensive.
Or if you can make you very rich if you're
All
Logan
those
Paul, you just open up a
ones
YouTube
and
channel.
zeros.
On Black Friday, in an hour, they made like just on PlayStation, they made like $5 million in a lightning round. And that's like probably too. I mean, it's probably not quite that high because you can use like coins to buy packs too. You don't just have to use FIFA points, but most of those people use FIFA points.
There you go, man. That's
And
Blake Jordan's
they did
bonus.
it for a week, like 6 times a day. So, you add that up, that's like
It's like
too much money.
$200 million.
More
or
money
so.
than I'll ever see. That's for sure.
Well, Ricky,
Can we just go back to online passes and forego all these crazy shit?
No,
Can we go back to the good old days.
Oh,
I don't know.
You buy new to get a little code.
God, they have an online pass.
Oh my god.
Ah, fuck! I was being sarcastic.
Toe the line. Oh, too far? We'll step back. It's like, well, at least it's not as bad as this.
At least it's not.
You don't pay for it, but they do have it.
Goddamn rich.
The thing is, like, I used to justify this stuff and be like, well, all these microtransaction bucks, it funds like, at least this funds Dead Space, at least this funds Mass Effect, at least this. Now it's like, I don't even know what EA is doing otherwise. It's like, oh, I guess Fallen Order
keeps
was
Respawn
like
alive.
Videos.
every FIFA thing you buy, it gives it back to Anthem.
It goes to marketing. It doesn't go to development or anyone. It goes to the marketing, to the execs. That's it. There's a reason I am on my bandwagon like I am. Fuck this shit.
Anthem proves it does not go to the developers.
It all goes in a giant
Yeah.
Kentuckian vault that the EA exec just swim in.
That you collect in the next Uncharted game.
Yeah, in offshore Swedish bank accounts. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the saddest part is they have all this money and they still killed Mass Effect.
Well,
No, didn't you hear? It's coming back.
No, Mass Effect will continue. No, Mass Effect will continue.
We can't get on this discussion.
All right, Ricky. Listen. This is why I gave up card games so long ago. Collecting was just too much. Now I just play one card game, and that card game, of course, is the Solitaire Conspiracy.
Oh, what a transition.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a segue right there.
That was beautiful.
We have, of course, Michael Reese, who has reviewed the game. Michael, would you like to talk about the game?
Did. Yeah. Solitaire Conspiracy, for those who don't know, is one of the Mike Bithel's shorts.
Yes.
So he's been coming out with these like shorter experiences while they're like in the middle of development of something else. And they're usually like 2-hour playthroughs or something like that. And I've liked all of them so far. I've liked Subsurface Circular was the first one. The second one was Quarantine Circular. And then this one is Solitaire Conspiracy. It's basically a weird version of Solitaire that's like really easy and really not that challenging whatsoever. And it's like story based too, so there's a story to play with these cards. Honestly, I couldn't tell you anything about that world at all because I think it's kind of just window dressing for this game that is actually really fun to play. I think it is like a really great game though. Like the story was like compelling enough to keep you going, I guess, and it's also short enough to not like overstay its welcome. It has Greg Miller from Kind of Funny, which I couldn't get out of my head. I could not get that out of my head. It's Greg Miller. Like it didn't seem like he was playing a character. It seemed like he was him.
His name is Jim Ratio.
Yeah, Jim Ratio. But yeah, really, I thought it was great. The only problems I really had was that there was like no challenge whatsoever in it, and maybe that's changed now because they've updated it to have like these different game modes and stuff like that. But it was like really fun. It was a good experience. I really enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah, I also put a lot of time in this as well. In terms of, honestly, I needed a game to decompress. You get so caught up in this so much that you want to just keep playing the next game, and yeah, this was the one game where I'm like, I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not worrying about anything else. I'm just worrying about completing the freestyle nature of Solitaire. And the music was just at the right level of not it is cyberpunky, I guess. It's sort of like that weird techno, like
it is, yeah.
Gobbledygook.
It's definitely that.
Mixed in with obviously the colorful visuals, the way that you can actually select the colors of the screen is just by playing the game. Honestly, as silly as I think, like this might be in my top 10 personally, only because it gave me a time to stop and think for a second and just focus on one thing as opposed to my mind being in so many different places. And I think that's what made me appreciate this so much. Yes, the story is fairly short, and honestly, it is distracting because it is.
Yeah, I don't think like a story being short is ever a shortcoming.
Sure.
I prefer shorter games personally. I cannot do a whole like 60-hour video game thing anymore. Like I just can't do it. So like having games like this, I love them. And again, like I like the game because it is shorter and it doesn't waste time with anything. There's no like, random, I don't know, whatever. No waste of time.
Yeah.
And so like really, and I thought the story was well told enough.
Yeah,
it's just that
fairly predictable, but yes.
Yeah. In the end, it just felt like another really good like Mike Bithell game. In the end of the day, like I thought it was really great. So like in terms of what the game is, it's kind of a simplified Solitaire in which like suits don't matter or like colors of cards don't matter. You kind of just like put them in number order, and once you build a stack, it ends that stack. Like that's all it is. It's really a super simplified version of it. So, which is why I thought it was like so kind of like whatever. It's like fun, but it's not really challenging. But again, like they might have changed that when they added more modes into it. Like the next week they did an update for it. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a game that's definitely going to be on my mind, and it will be on my top 10. I definitely won't be forgetting it. However, there is another game that I hear some people do want to forget, and that is Amnesia Rebirth. I'm going to do this the whole time, guys.
Is it really is it bad?
Who's here to talk about it?
What, Amnesia?
Amnesia is like, I think Mario's playing off that.
Yeah.
Amnesia makes you forget things.
I thought you meant it was bad. I'm sorry.
I knew what you meant. I was on the same page.
I got you, Mario. It's fine. I got it.
My guy. But they can't all be hits.
No, they can't all be hits. I was trying my best. So we'll be talking about Amnesia Rebirth. Who here actually is the one that played this game? Because I have not touched this yet.
I reviewed it. I don't know if anybody else here played it.
I started playing it. It's on my list.
This is a new game, right? Like a new in the series, or is it?
Yes. It's a direct sequel. Like it does tie into the plot, lore, etc. of Amnesia Dark Descent, not any of the other stuff. So yeah, I really liked it. I know some people didn't like it as much, and I can understand why. I suppose like it's hard to talk about horror games without spoiling any kind of the experience. Plus, things like scares hit harder for other people than for some people find it get affected by it more, so on and so forth. Point being, it's not nearly as scary. It's not nearly as successful in delivering its horror. It's not bad in that regard, and it does, really great stuff with atmosphere, story, etc. And I think that's why it's worth playing, just for that, even if, it's not as groundbreakingly, iconic masterpiece that is The Dark Descent as far as horror goes. So it's a good game. It is quite good. I think it's a worthy sequel, continues a lot of interesting threads and world-building stuff. Probably not gonna please everybody about it, but still definitely worth considering.
So you say that it's not as like jump scary and stuff, because I would know, like I would say like when like Dark Descent came out, that was more like, even during that time, like more horror games were definitely going for jump scares and stuff. Would you say this is like more? Yeah. Would you say that it's more indicative of like kind of where like horror movies are? Because I feel like horror movies are more about like the atmosphere and less about like just getting you scared and stuff. Like if you watching stuff like Midsummer or something like that, like that's more about the atmosphere than like just trying to scare you,
It's more like that, yeah. And I think Dark Descent was kind of like that in regard as well, because that game, that has a killer atmosphere. The tension in that game is palpable, and that's why it's so good.
Yeah.
So even when you're in no danger, you're just like, fuck, I don't know about this. So I don't think it quite hits that same, like Rebirth doesn't quite hit that same level, but it does go more for that style. And, Five Nights at Freddy's shit leaping at you,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. I've been
Worth your
meaning to
time.
play it for sure, but I haven't played it myself yet.
It's only on PC right now, isn't it?
No, I think it's
No, it's on console.
I think it's on PS4 too.
Okay.
Yeah, I was getting this one confused because I know they did the re-release not that long ago, and I did play that, and I know that my personal experience with the game was not this one, but the previous one was the controls of the camera. Honestly, was kind of like headache-inducing. So, in terms of it being the first person, I mean, how would you say that it goes for someone who's naturally playing? Is it still first person? Is it still all those things?
It's still first person. It's a little more, if anything, it's a little more character driven, like you are inhabiting a character, and it does tie into that a lot. But you're not going to get, like, you're still going to have that kind of disorienting perspective kind of thing if that does get to you, I think.
Yeah.
Did they straight up just kill off Machine for Pigs, as it doesn't even exist in that lore? Kind of.
I don't know, because I mean, it didn't tie, like, it's sort of vaguely tied into it with, like, a couple of bits and pieces, but for the most part, like, they didn't do it. It wasn't theirs. It wasn't generally well liked. It wasn't, kind of missed the point entirely. So whatever. Let them kill it. Fuck it.
Yeah. I assumed that's what they were gonna do. Was just like, we never made this. Kind of like the Batman game, Arkham.
Yeah.
Origins?
Yeah.
Never forget.
By the way,
Rocksteady forgot.
yeah, I know, right? Mike, what filter do you have right now? Because you look like you're from a boy band. Just gotta say that right now. For some reason,
That's me. That's the normal filter.
Okay.
That's just natural aura.
Oh
Yeah.
man! All right.
Dang.
Skateboarding changes a man. Skateboarding changes a
Ultra
man.
instinct
Dude,
over there.
I lost 40 pounds since skateboarding.
Dude, do you think if we watch the beginning of these videos all the way now, there'd be a massive transition?
I tried looking. I don't think you could really tell, to be honest.
I can. I could tell just by your face compared to like whenever we video call. I was like, oh, this boy lost some weight skating.
Compared to 5 years ago in January 2020, is
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Moving on to the next game. Even though I could definitely do a fun segue, I'm not going to. We're gonna talk about.
I want to hear it. No, let me hear it.
Listen, I'm so sorry that Amnesia doesn't have that many ghosts, but at least with this one, we'll be ghost running with this one. I don't know. I can't do it.
That was a good one.
That was close enough.
Okay,
Close. It just needs a workshop.
Six.
I just need to workshop that.
Trying, yeah.
Yeah, I need to workshop
potential.
that.
I'm also realizing we have not one but 3 Cyberpunk games.
Yes. Out of our 3 Cyberpunk games, this is the first one of the 3. Ghost Runner.
It's the first one. This is number 2.
This is number 2. What was the first? Oh, so you're right.
Crash Bandicoot is actually
Crash Bandicoot. There you go. You can mod in Crash
You
Bandicoot.
laugh, but kind of.
I guarantee
Yeah.
you there's a cyberpunk themed cosmetic in FIFA.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
Ghost Runner. Who's played it?
I reviewed it.
I
okay.
played
The
it.
first hour of it.
Go ahead, Cam.
But yeah, so I liked it a lot. I mean, it's pretty much like very Mirror's Edge and very platformy, and like you kind of feel like a real badass, like when you're running around walls and like slashing some guys and then slashing some other guys, and it's fun. Like, I mean, the story's pretty weak. It's very like exposition, kind of just talking over when you're running around. But it's just kind of there. But like the atmosphere is really cool. The music is awesome, and it just looks great. It runs great. Have a few like little bugs here and there, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's not long, but it makes you feel really cool. Probably one of the better Cyberpunk games that came out this year. No shade.
I don't know.
Honestly, whenever I've seen it, it looks like the one level in Titanfall 2 that I love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to see speedrunners hit this game
Cyberpunk.
because
Yes.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
I want to see them break their fingers on the keyboard. I really enjoy this game as somebody who had Katana Zero on their Game of the Year list last year. I think this very much gives some sort of Katana Zero vibes, but also kind of has like a super hot sort of vibe as well. Just
for sure.
Stand up. Okay, it's kind of a puzzle on how to kill people. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I love the vibes. And I agree. Story's not great, but that's not what we're here for, Doggy Dog. Well, that's not what we're here for. We're ready to be a cybernetic ninja. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like a badass. It's so satisfying when you get the chains together and the chain run on a wall and kill a guy. So satisfying. It feels awesome.
Does the main protagonist have like a backstory that's tied to Zanzibar?
Nope. Can't say.
I think it's Zanzibar Land.
Zanzibar Land?
Zanzibar Land.
No, that's right.
Because it has to be
Zanzibar Land. Zanzibar Land.
Zanzibarland.
Mike, have you been playing that game more?
Small island in Ireland.
Which one?
Metal Gear Solid.
No, I have not yet. I have to install it on my computer, but I will, actually.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
That's game of the year, honestly. Yeah, it's
I know Mario will vote for that.
What Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3? Yes.
just one.
I haven't played one, but we'll see.
I'd vote for it. I mean, my name for
twice.
My name for everything is Solid Snake 120, so I'm always down to vote for MGS in anything except Survive, because fuck Survive.
So hold on, I'll do the transitions. You're telling me you'd vote for Metal Gear Solid over Trails of Cold Steel 4?
Yeah,
there you go.
That's real good. That's real good. Why don't we get rid of that guy, guys?
No, I refuse.
For a site-wide thing, yes, because Trails has unfortunately no hope of that. But for personalism,
yeah.
Well, we thought Judgment was gonna have no hope, and look where that got. So I'm just saying.
True. Here's your case. So
your shot.
Pitch me.
You just need to convince 3 doofuses to make everyone happy, and then
you might have Chris on your side.
Get the Electoral College of DualShockers to get the popular vote out of here.
Yeah, honestly,
I can't help it if I'm very persuasive.
Hey, if it's any consolation before you go into your diatribe about this, I do think this game looks cool.
It does look really
just
cool.
From a visual standpoint. I mean, I know the visuals is just like anime normalcy to some degree, but everybody's got swords and they're wearing like school uniforms.
Persona's broken, Logan.
You know,
seems
Ghost
cool.
of Tsushima, some might say, also has swords. I'm just saying.
True.
Just put it out there.
But this one also has giant robots.
See, now you're kind of losing me.
Okay.
How could giant robots be?
You're grabbing me, honestly.
Yeah, you grabbed me with swords and robots. So
yeah,
that's
okay.
Good.
The first game is like if Harry Potter had giant robots and genocide.
Okay.
Wow.
It gets crazier from there.
Whoa. How do I play this game? How do I play the first game?
You gotta get it
I think it's on PlayStation 4.
It's on Vita. It's on PS4. And you can also play on PS5. And it's on PC.
Oh, I'm gonna look at.
So it's like take the
like
social
40.
aspects from Persona, throw in the materia system from Final Fantasy VII, throw in magical robots and war-torn craziness and like genocide and stuff, mix it all together, and you have Trails of Cold Steel. And then it just gets shit crazy as it goes on for the 4 entries. And then the 4th entry is like, if you put Highlander mechanics into this mixture.
You just sold Mike.
Giant robot Highlander to kill God. That is how I summarize.
Mike's like Tony Hawk. Who?
Guys,
I'm impressed Scott's managed to make this pitch towards fans of Harry Potter, Highlander, and
The one.
If you like anything,
Holy Trinity.
The one.
Tell me there's some Demolition Man in there, and you got me.
The one thing that will unpitch Mike in 5 seconds is the fact that all 4 games are like a collective 500 hours long or something.
Yeah, about that. But damn, it doesn't feel like that long because the world building and character writing and everything is top notch in those games, which is why I love them so much. It feels, it really does feel like just, going home, meeting up with old friends, continuing that, seeing what, goes on with their life and everything like that, while it's just, a crazy world of what if fantasy had an industrial revolution, And and it's... Yeah, these games are immaculate. There's a reason why Scott and I have been pushing for them so hard. They're about as good as it gets for JRPG systems and then character writing, world building stories. They're just really good. And the fact that it's kept it going for like nearly 10 games now, if you can include all the previous series and stuff as well, there's nothing else quite like it. There really isn't.
It's fantastic. And Matt Mercer voices a bisexual prince that shoots things and then sings to people with a lute.
He does.
All right, you got me now. You got me.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And no, honestly, jokes aside, the world building, I think a lot of developers, RPG or not, when they want to create a connected series or trilogy, they wish they could do it as well as Falcom has done with the Trails saga, be it Trails in the Sky, Trails from Zero, Trails to Azure, this Cold Steel series, and now the future games, the brand new one got revealed today. But everything is so connected, and if you have played, while you don't necessarily need to have played all the games, you get so many good little nods and Easter eggs for players that have been around for a long time. And NPCs like quest givers from the first game are named. Like, everyone you encounter in these games are named. And in the fourth game, you'll encounter a dude that you got just a random side quest from at the beginning of the first game, come up to you and it's like, oh, I remember you. You helped me do this side quest, this thing back in the first game. I really appreciate it. And they'll reference it, which, while not a big thing narrative in the scale of everything going on, it's still a very cool nod. And honestly,
it's super consistent in that regard too.
Yeah.
Scott's giving me the Casey Hudson Mass Effect 3 pitch here right now. Everybody you've met in the other games shows back up.
But it actually does.
You don't have decisions that will ripple across the games, but you will get those like warm butterfly moments and everything of, oh, I remember you, you've grown up, and little things like that. And it honestly, if Persona 5 like vanilla, the first time I had played it came out the same year as this game, it would be very hard pressed for me to say which I like better. I think Cold Steel 4 for me surpasses Persona 5 royally, as it were. Just because most of the Persona 5 Royal I had played before. I knew what was coming up. I knew those plot twists, whereas the twists and turns in Cold Steel 4 blew me away. I was on the edge of my seat. I was teary-eyed. It was very, very impactful, and I can't wait to see where the series goes. And
the denouement in the epilogue just broke both of us. We're just like, no.
Yeah. So
good stuff.
I guess really, play these games.
I was gonna say, like,
one of those. Just play these games.
One like very pointed question about this one, I guess, is like what makes it stand out apart from like everything else this year? Because I know you guys are like, I feel like this is one we can put into the game of the year pile potentially, but I know obviously it's gonna be like a very. It's you two. Mm-hmm. It's you two who are for
this. This is the conundrum I have, right? Because this is probably going to be my personal number one in my top 10, but I'm probably not going to push for it in the proper things because I know it's me and Scott, there with our boom boxes in the window. And but that's it. It's we get it. It's a big ask. It's a big investment to really get in and follow the story along. And it is so worth it in the end, but it is still very hard to pitch it now in the fourth game, which is technically the ninth game, if you want to go into everything like that. And while, again, I stress, it is worth it. Everyone who's listening, go check out the Trails of Cold Steel games. Really do it.
400 hours of Cyberpunk or 400 hours of Trails of Cold Steel?
Now you're selling me.
For what it's worth, in many situations on like base last gen consoles, Cold Steel does look better than Cyberpunk.
That's not that hard.
I'm just putting that out there.
I'm definitely gonna have to look at that to see and watch how that's going. But until then, right now we're gonna transition on to Watch Dogs Legion specifically. Watch Dogs is actually a game I played quite a bit of. It was Ben, right? Ben is the one that actually reviewed it.
Ben reviewed it. I edited the video.
I've played it a bit.
You played it a bit as well?
I played a bit of it.
I'll start first because this is the game that I played actually right before I jumped over to Cyberpunk. So I've actually played quite a bit of time into it. Shockingly enough, it's funny because I had Valhalla and I had Watch Dogs both at the same time, and I chose Watch Dogs for some reason. I think it's just because at the end of the day, it felt more of a checklisty game, more than I would say watched in terms of AC, which is also a checklisty game, but in a bigger sense. That I think Watch Dogs, at the very least, if in same way that I think of Solitaire Conspiracy, if you just want to turn your brain off, Watch Dogs is there for you, man. I mean, it's just a quick hey, do the mission. The mechanics are there in terms of what you can do in terms of hacking, and I think they're at least at a base level competent and work really well, especially when it goes from place to place. And the mechanic of switching between your different operatives also seems to work. The biggest downfall of the game, of course, is that it doesn't, to me, capture any of the spirit of, say, like the second one, which I had actually really, really enjoyed quite a bit with the DeadSec team with Marcus. I just don't care about anybody on my team specifically. I pretty much feel like I'm role-playing as myself, as one particular person. But otherwise, yeah, you lose all that feeling when it comes to Watch Dogs. And honestly, Watch Dogs as a concept as a whole is pretty milquetoast to begin with. But I still say, like, if you needed something that was open world that wasn't super complex, like a Cyberpunk or a AC game, I think this one's just totally fine. What did you think, Scott?
I mirror a lot of the things you said. It did nothing for me. It's like, okay, fine. One thing, kind of a funny story. I remember I had started the game. I did hard and permadeath. So
gotcha.
If your operative dies, they die for good. Well, I had an operative die a number of times and they kept respawning. I was like, why isn't it working? Is it glitched? So I went through and freed all the areas and whatnot. And it turned out I was still kind of like in the tutorial section. So that's why he just wouldn't die.
Yeah.
So I finished like a random mission. It's like, permadeath is now on. You have to be careful when you do all these missions. So I was like, oh, I guess I was in the tutorial. But I've just been taking a contractor and flying a little drone with him on top. And I just fly around the city completing things. Like, it's okay, but like you said, it doesn't have the heart and soul. It doesn't have that Marcus character. I don't care about anything I do.
It's been the perfect podcast game where I can just sit there and just zone out and just do the objective. But that's been it. And it's funny that you say that. You basically maxed out the map in the tutorial because it's super possible. It's not this big of a world.
No.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's another Ubisoft open world game, for better or worse. If you like those style of collectathon, explorer, whatnots, you'll probably like Watch Dogs.
Yeah, because I think the mechanics are there. I just wish that they were better implemented in a better game.
Yeah, I feel like
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
When I did
Just
the
saying.
preview, when I did the preview for this, I found that person that's like, he's a beekeeper and he has a gun that uses weaponized bees. And when I was playing that, I was like, if this game has a bunch of this, it could be good.
Yeah.
But it feels like from what I've heard is that did not happen.
Yeah.
Which is really unfortunate.
No.
Yeah, like that was the thing I saw. I haven't played this, but like watching it from, I mean, just looking at all the pre-release stuff for it, like that, this was, everything you said was totally the feeling I had about it. Like, man, it's like feels very devoid of like the main face of this game is a man in a pig mask. It's like, okay, sure. It's like very much anti corporations, take down the man or whatever. But it's like when you don't have like a focal point to center those ideas around, it becomes very like, you just like, you don't care. And then the things, kind of like what Ricky was saying, the things that I feel like people were really latching onto this game was the stuff where it's like, whoa, a granny, that's so crazy, bro. Yeah. But like, like I've heard people who've played this game, they're like, I can't find a spy granny anywhere in the world, so I can't even do that. Like, yeah, I don't know.
It feels like a lot of those zany characters are locked behind mission rewards.
Yes.
Like if you complete this mission, you get a chance to unlock a beekeeper that has weaponized bees. And it's like, okay, but like, of course then the missions are like, go here and sneak in and download this data, so the missions aren't all that exciting. And the recruitment missions I felt were incredibly repetitive and not all that exciting. I don't care about I will get the ones I get rewarded just from doing the story, but nothing actively incentivized me to go out and recruit a wide team of super hackers,
Yeah. I always found those missions to be really funny because like you would accidentally fail one, but you still get an opportunity to still try to recruit them. And I did one where I like accidentally killed somebody's grandmother or something, and then I still had a chance to like recruit them. Yeah. It's just so like thin and bare.
Just a goof, just a big old mistake.
Goof. I will say
you killed your grandma.
Yeah, I just I will say that there are things in the game and the side missions and into the actual plot that I think are fairly interesting, but they're just not presented in any way, shape, or form, and are things that are much better done, I would say, elsewhere. If we get through later this list,
further down the list,
further down the list.
Yeah. I was hoping for something that was more like Ubisoft's version of Saints Row.
Yeah,
I think the thing is like I would say it's a great podcast game, but I don't think any of the mechanics feel good like at all.
That's how I felt about it,
personally, like I think especially the gunplay. The gunplay feels super 1000%.
Bad. Yeah.
I've shared your sentiments. I do like that you can stone cold center people in the game.
Yes,
and
you
that's
can.
pretty dope. But other than that, like I don't know, the world doesn't feel that great. I didn't connect with any of the characters. It just was such a slog to try to go through, in my opinion. And then even when I was recording footage for the review, I went back to 2 to record some footage there, and I'm like, it's so insane how marketably better just playing that game is than Legion, which I get there's a bigger idea happening in Legion, so that's why they had to, you can tell that they focused on this one section, this one part where it's, you can be anybody, and that feels so good, but everything else around it is just not great.
It's a tech demo.
Yeah, exactly. I think like the tech is like, if it's implemented in another game, can be implemented so well. I just think that either this needed more time to bake, or they needed to kind of sparse their direction, and then with a sequel, iterate on it.
It's Ubisoft. It's only ever going to get more formulaic, unfortunately.
Exactly. Like, I would like to see this become like the watchtowers of Ubisoft, where it's just like, oh, it's in every game, where it's just like you can, like, not in every game, I guess, but like I'm saying, like a staple where you can kind of have those unique characters. I just wish that they were fleshed out more.
I mean, you know what the logical conclusion with this game is? It's that they add Sam Fisher to it.
Oh,
you do. It's happening. It's happening, and it hurts me.
Now we got a video game on our hands.
More Aiden Pierce?
Yeah. Well, we're getting him.
Let's have those two boys meet.
Well, all the Ubisoft worlds are all connected, so it's just all
And they start adding characters from Rainbow Six Siege, and then they add the Hyperscape.
They add Rayman.
It should lead into Hyperscape for sure.
Hey, if I could run around Legion as a rabbit,
I would be down. I would be down, actually.
I would jump back in.
And Stone Cold Stunner people as a rabbit.
Add Buck Bumble.
Add Buck Bumble.
There you go.
Sure, that's how you win everyone's heart.
All right, I think we're ready to move away from Watch Dogs. Next on our list, we are going to be talking about the Dark Pictures Little Hope. I played like a very small section of this. I tried to play it during Halloween, and from what I gathered, it was very much in the same vein as what they've been doing. Nothing specific about this one that I was really catch my eye. I don't know. I just feel like ever since Until Dawn, Supermassive Games, they've sort of like lost a bit of heart for some reason, and I don't know what that is. But yeah, anybody else have a chance to play this?
I played through this one. Yeah.
You did play through it? Am I wrong in my assessment? I only played like through the first like major chapter. Right when you get off the bus.
You go ahead, Ryan.
I tend to like, because actually these types of games, I actually played this one with my fiance. We played this one together, where like I was the one controlling the game, and she was the one making decisions and all that, and because we like to play those types of games together.
Yeah, sure.
And I think this one was pretty good, and I actually enjoyed this one, I think, more so than I did Man of Medan. And I liked Man of Medan, but I think this one, like, I think the pacing's a little better. I found the story a little more interesting. The only thing is that it has I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but like there's a twist at the end that I think doesn't really kind of work. Like it's a little lame, but and you could see it coming from like a mile away.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, I think this one was pretty good. I forget the actor's name, but it has the actor from The Revenant and a bunch of other. He was in Bandersnatch.
Cameron's yeah.
It's not Cameron Monaghan. It's I forget his name.
I forget his name.
Yeah, but anyway, he's a great job sort of being like the sort of the main sort of actor in this game, or like one of the the big name star that's sort of in it. And yeah, I think that like the setting of it, where basically you're exploring this town called Little Hope, and it has sort of like a Salem witch trials sort of vibe to it, where basically you go through and you're sort of encountering these scenes that are like you're exploring this like ghost town, and you can't really escape as this like group of characters. And then you encounter these scenes where you get flashbacks to like sort of the Salem witch trials, and where like people were being burned for being accused of being witches and stuff like that. And yeah, no, I think it's not quite Until Dawn level. I don't think it's not quite the same sense of storytelling or engagement with the characters, but I still had a pretty good time with it. It's not super long to get through.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything Ryan said. I think I also played it with people who don't really play games very much, and I think one of the big like upgrades from Man of Medan is that there's less QTEs. It feels like less really quick QTEs, because we just lost characters because one of my friends and my wife aren't good at, they don't know which buttons are which. So
I think I only lost one character.
They die. Yeah, we lost two. But I will say, and I think I agree the twist isn't good, but for some reason, like, I liked it. Like I don't know. Like I just thought it was really dumb, and like
is the twist that Ashley Tisdale shows up at the end?
Well, I'd be happy to play it then.
Oh man, she's the man all the time telling the stories.
That's not even a joke. That's
I have good news for you guys, because she's in
what?
The next one.
She's in the next one.
She's the main character of the next one.
Dude, I'm playing these games.
I was actually going to ask you: do any of these stories interconnect in any way? Because I played.
You see, like how in Until Dawn you can see like premonitions of the future.
Yeah.
They have in each of these games. So there's one in Man of Medan too. There's a you find one of those, and it's a premonition of what's going to happen in the next game. So that's pretty much
interesting.
Otherwise, one of them you find is for the next one, which is called House of Ashes, which is coming out next year.
Gotcha. Isn't it about like the Iraq War or something?
Yeah, it's like it looks really interesting. It's like soldiers that are in like the Iraq War, and they find this like ritual grounds and stuff like that, and supernatural this shit happens. So
I'm very interested to see what they do with guns in the this war universe.
Yeah, it looks a bit, because I mean, like I think like Man of Medan and Little Hope are kind of like your sort of traditional sort of horror settings. Like Man of Medan was this like creepy ghost ship. This one's like a creepy horror town, and the next one looks like it's going to be really different setting wise. So I'm interested to see what they do with that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next game. I have no transition. I can't do it.
I was waiting for it.
I'm out of it.
He's like,
gotta get ourselves out of the dirt.
Listen, you get dirty in these scary games, so let's talk about Dirt 5, a racing game.
Okay.
Reviewed. I know my boy here, the best Yakuza boy, Michael Ruiz, has played this game. Can you tell us about it?
You need to stop with that. I don't know if I agree. I don't want to be considered the best Yakuza boy. I've only played like 3 of 4 of the games.
You tell me it doesn't matter.
The Yakuza Coalition needs to stand strong in
the Yakuza Coalition.
Not split apart.
I want that as a t-shirt now. So
if it doesn't win
badly.
Game of the Year, we Yakuza strike.
Chris is about to sprint across the Pacific and like just grab you by the shirt and say that one more time.
No. I'm just gonna go.
Yeah,
he's so close to
karaoke.
Suddenly, this webcam is behind me showing a tattoo that I don't have. Yeah, great.
What would your Yakuza tattoo be, Chris?
What a question.
Oh man,
God, we're not even there yet. We're almost there.
That's a whole different video.
You know what, Chris? Think about that for at least a couple game titles.
I gotta talk about the next one, but talk about Dirt in the meantime.
It's going to be a 4-hour video and 2 hours of it spent on.
We haven't even got to the big games yet. I feel like.
All right, Dirt 5 is, in my eyes, disappointing. So the Dirt series, I would even say like the numbered ones, they just started doing Dirt Rally, which is definitely more. Scott, I just noticed your freaking thing.
What? Is he frozen?
No, he's not frozen. He's not frozen. Yeah.
Wait, he's not frozen? Because he's frozen for me.
No, he's just real good. He's just real good.
Got an overlay. He has an
Oh,
overlay. Don't worry, you've got.
Pay no attention.
We broke the illusion for everyone.
Oh my god. I didn't even notice until you
I'll
said
cut that out. I didn't know. That is so genius. Why did I think of that? I need to go get a drink.
All right, let me talk about Dirt 5. Dirt 5 I thought was pretty disappointing. It's the actual next numbered version of Dirt. They did come out with Dirt Rally. I forgot when the first one, but they have 2 of those. That's more simulation based. And the Dirt series altogether has been kind of going more simulation. This is the first one that like really goes super arcadey, and because it does that, it doesn't really feel like a dirt game. You're just kind of driving these courses, and there's nothing really all that great about them. So, man, this is weird. Now Otto has it now. But
the only thing that I have to contribute to Dirt 5, because I haven't played this game, is when they announced that Troy Baker and Nolan North were doing voices for the game.
Yeah.
Are they voicing the cars?
Oh, damn it. I didn't catch the transition when Scott came back.
But yeah, like so it kind of loses its kind of uniqueness, the Dirt series, just from this numbered version. It seems like, in my eyes, if this is what they're going to do, they're going to have the Dirt 5 series be like the arcade version and Dirt Rally be the like simulation thing. I don't know. I don't really like that. But yeah, it was kind of fine. I think it's very forgettable. I think the big thing about this was that it would have been like the new next gen racing game to show off your consoles and whatever.
The Series X version shipped like not good. I think.
And I'm not entirely sure because I didn't get it for any consoles. I played it on PC, but even on PC, I was having problems on it. So I don't know. I was pretty soured on it, to be honest. And Dirt is legitimately one of my favorite racing games. Like I like that just as much as like Forza. And Forza is my favorite. So I don't know. It was very disappointing. I was legitimately looking into like returning it on Steam, but I found out that I played too much of it already. So like, yeah. Anyway.
Who makes this game?
It's
Codemasters.
If only they put out a Dear Gamers statement.
Codemasters, I think, did the F1 game that they do every year. And that game is incredible. I mean, if you're into racing games, it's incredible.
I have really bad news for you, Michael.
What?
I'm pretty sure they just got bought by EA. So
my gosh.
They got by EA.
Dream is dead. Sorry, guys.
Man, Codemasters was making so many good things, though. Like, other than this, but like they were making some pretty good stuff.
Now they're gonna make Need for Speed games.
Now they're gonna make money.
Hey, they're gonna work on a new Burnout series.
Yep.
Didn't they?
Or
Criterion?
Yeah, Criterion's doing Need for Speed now.
Yeah.
And
they're gonna make a looter shooter, and then 2 years from now they're gonna be killed.
A looter racer.
I was gonna say Looter Racer.
That makes sense.
A battle royale roguelike deck building.
Battle Race Owl.
They did that in
Race Owl from Al's Toy
Bar.
They've already done that in Forza.
Yeah.
They're gonna pull one from Godfall and do a looter racer.
No, man.
I think the Crew 2 was a looter racer.
Crew 2.
The Crew 2, that game where you could transform into a plane on the fly.
That was the best part about the game.
It's pretty cool.
Anyway, yeah, that's Dirt 5. It's not great.
What are we on? Okay, right here.
Yep. Moving on to the next game, we are be talking about Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. Who wants to talk about Sakuna of Rice and Ruin? Because I have not heard of this game. That'll be you? Oh boy, here we go.
Okay, so this one probably won't make my list, but I did review it, and I did at least want to acknowledge it because there will be people out there who will love this game a lot more than I did. It was a weird case of the action is so good that it makes it worse. Bear with me. The action is so good that when you therefore hit an RPG wall where you have to do more of the farming and stats and stuff, you're like, oh, oh, suddenly this is, this just, took the wind out of my sails. I got to go do that. So if the action wasn't as good and it did buy more into the RPG element, then it'd be fine. But the action is really good. So it just keeps dragging me from that in order to do that. As much as I like the simulation aspects, it had that really disjointed feeling. And I'm sure there's some people out there who will get a lot more of it out of it than I would. But yeah, it didn't quite click for me. That said, I wanted to at least shine light on this game because Sakuna is really interesting. It's one of those, unique little small indie projects that really obviously care about what they've done here. They've put a lot of effort into the whole, the rice growing farming simulation stuff, more than they had any right to. And honestly, yeah, it really does, show how much they care and how much it meant to them. And it's just, I don't know, it just really stood out to me in that regard. So I just want to at least give it a shout out, even if it's not, like highest echelons of game. Check it out. I'm sure there'll be people who like it. And that's what I wanted to say about it, basically.
Okay. Moving on to the next game, another Ubisoft game.
Time.
Big boy games.
Actually, I was going to ask before we start, anybody want to take a break real quick? Because we could pause and I could redo this. That's fine.
I'm
Everybody
good.
You want to
I'm
be
good.
free fills, bathrooms? No? Okay.
No.
Scott will put the overlay on again. It's fine.
All right.
Anyone want to make any overlays?
Yeah, you want to make an overlay ahead of time?
Well, Otto got me so hard, and I don't even think he tried.
That's good.
Okay. All right. Moving on to our next Ubisoft game. Of course, we will be talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Cam Hawkins, of course, reviewed it for us. He cannot be here today, but he really, really loves that game. He really gave it a good shot. Out of everyone here, who has played it?
I did.
So
I played it.
A little bit.
Right?
Played 10 hours.
Well, I think I played, around there, 10, 15 hours.
I think I played about roughly 10 hours. So long that I totally forgot when the title screen showed up, and then all of a sudden the title screne just randomly showed up after like 15 or 14 hours, which is
It's a
sounds
very
like
late
another
title
game out
card.
of here.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. I will say early on, to me, when I think of Assassin's Creed, in terms of a high mark, I go straight to Origins. I know that Logan is very much a fan of Odyssey.
I also love Odyssey.
And Nick, of course,
My favorite.
yes,
I'm with Mario.
I'm partial to Origins.
yeah.
I stand with Mario.
Yes, exactly. I feel like this is actually more on that end, where I felt less overwhelmed by all of the mechanics in terms of like the loot stuff, because it felt very simple in terms of what I had is what I have, and then I was able to accomplish all my tasks for whatever I need to. Again, this game's freaking massive though, and huge, and filled with so many things. However, it is probably the prettiest thing I've seen on the next gen consoles.
So gorgeous, especially with HDR.
Yeah, with
that
HDR.
that sun just casts in on you.
Yeah, and then the snow looks fantastic, and some of the rest assets. Like, this is definitely, I would say, the showcase for me. I know that people obviously are going to say this about some other games later on this list, but it was one of the games where I'm like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Things are looking really, really pretty right now, especially on my television, which I invested so much in this year to get ready for this moment. So it finally felt like, oh, yes, I finally have gotten the thing that I was looking for. In terms of the actual game overall, I'm excited to see where it goes, but I'm nowhere near finished in that game. Like I said, I checked out of it early to jump into Watch Dogs, which I've spent more time in. But I think that this will be a game that I will sink my teeth into, because overall, I just think that it's more traditional Assassin's Creed game. But Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely, in terms of the Origin and Odyssey, obviously it's done by the Origin. I believe it's done by the Origin team. And it definitely feels much more of a closed-in thing like Origin does, and feels more centralized on this one thing of, basically going through England, trying to conquer as many things. Obviously, Viking game, trying to conquer as many lands as you can and get as many allegiances as you can. But there's also some really cool stuff that they do with the lore of Assassin's Creed. They bring back, like, basically the traditional assassins in a small way, but it's still there, and it feels much better. As much as I love Odyssey, I think I love a lot of the games that aren't super Assassin's Creed, if that makes sense. Obviously, like I love Odyssey, I love AC4. Like I think a lot of the ones that I traditionally swing towards aren't ones that Assassin's Creed fans necessarily swing to. I just think that this is a built upon what we've had with both Origins and Odyssey, and I think it meshes the two really well. Like Mario said, I have a Sony X900H TV with HDR10 Plus, and it is pretty. It is very nice. Whenever I'm showcasing my TV, like, and when I initially got my TV and I was showcasing it to my friends, I'm like, look at what it can do, like, you know. And yeah, it is fantastic. I am really enjoying. I'm not enjoying the story a whole ton, but I don't traditionally tend to connect with the characters as much. But also, 10 hours in is nothing for an Assassin's Creed game, so haven't really scratched the surface. Still really fun game. I really like the raids. The one thing I will say about it that I am kind of don't really love is the fact that they give you the ship access, but like I don't feel like it's needed because they're just basically rivers, at least right now. So it feels really tacked on, and really I feel like I'm not, you know, like using that to its best ability. But other than that, it's a beautiful game. It's real fun. It's more Assassin's Creed.
When you say it brings back some of the old characters, who do you mean?
Not characters, but like the
just like
the order,
looking,
the Brotherhood.
Yeah. Desmond is back.
See, I want to hear that. Logan.
Not Desmond. At least right now, 10 hours in. 10 hours
That man,
in,
like,
maybe.
blew up with the rest of the world.
I love, so in the Assassin's Creed lore, he, spoilers, dies in 3, and literally in 4 they're just like, yeah, and then Abstergo just like probes him and took all of the information and DNA from him. Like
they harvested his organs.
They really killed it.
Read the autopsy report. They're like, no, seriously, this guy is fucking dead.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve show up or something.
Nolan North had an opt-out clause in his contract. He's like, I'm not returning to this character.
It's very much the thing from Simpsons where it's like, he's already dead. Like, and then Assassin's Creed 4
game. You don't get to go by going, you know, calling them Assassin's Creed 2 subtitles.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it's a real fun game though.
Yeah, it's I've enjoyed it a lot. Again, it's not the most interesting protagonist, I don't think, but I think I definitely, as far as like between Origins, Odyssey, and this one, I definitely really enjoyed Bayek the most of the three. Like when I played them, but Eivor it's fine. They're serviceable, but the game's gorgeous. When I first started playing it, I was playing it on like an Xbox One, and then I got my Series X. And like that difference was just like immediately, like you can feel it, like it just runs so much better, looks so much better.
Yeah, I did it from PS4 and then PS5.
Yeah.
So
I'm playing it on like a 4K TV, and like it looks great. And so you can definitely tell like the difference. Yeah, so it's definitely a good like showcase game, like Nick was saying. It's a definitely good showcase for like next gen visuals and stuff like that.
I think that game is boring. So
I think all of you are poo-poo heads.
This is why we brought Michael on.
I mean, it is like more Assassin's Creed and whatever. I think Eivor sucks. I don't like Eivor. I don't like both Eivors.
Yeah,
bring back Desmond.
Ivor's fine.
Like, dude, Ivor's
Alexios.
Like, plural form of Eivor is Ivi, just so you know.
Sorry, Ivi sounds like she's trying to make a Viking voice. She's like, you know what? I don't know.
She talks like this a lot.
Yeah, she's like impersonating a Viking.
Yeah.
Well, she's me whenever Becky Lynch decides to act. That's who I pretend she is.
And then, dude, Eivor sounds like bad Obi-Wan Kenobi to me. So, like, I just don't. I'm just not really into it.
There's no such
thing. You can't switch on the fly. Which version? Pretty cool.
Ewan McGregor or Sir Alec Guinness?
Ewan McGregor for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Yeah, very much like that. And then.
It's really good.
Yeah, like I like the story moments in there. I actually I really dig like the little small stories they tell within like each like when you're trying to like join make alliances with other kings or whatever like that. I do really like the stories that they tell within those. But I think those moments are split apart from literally traveling miles, and then you kind of forget about everything that's happening, and you're like, okay, I guess this matters for this. I don't know. It's just hard to keep track of it. And then when things start to get interesting, there's like a part that happens, and I don't know if I should say it, but a thing happens that's pretty cool, and then it overstays its welcome, and you're like there forever. And
does he stab a man and then talk to him before he dies?
Does he soak a feather?
There is that.
So you have played it.
Anyone care?
I know exactly what you're going to talk about. Good, just talk about it. It's fine.
Okay,
No, don't talk about it. I haven't got there.
Okay.
Well, you know what it is.
No, I don't.
You go to a place and you see things.
With a land and snow. You go to a Led Zeppelin song and it's fucking awesome.
It's pretty rad, and you ride a moose. And that was
What?
Oh, I don't know if I've got that.
Yeah, don't ruin these for me.
I've definitely that might give me.
But then you're there for like 3 hours, and I'm like, why are we still in? Because it seems like a moment that's like kind of sliced up, which means you're going to go back there later. And I'm like, why is this so long? I don't know why I'm still here. And it just kind of drags, and then you finally get out, and then you're doing the same stuff. I think the raids are really boring and all feel the same, no matter.
The raids do feel all the same.
They're all the same.
They get
100% agree with that.
It's that
The first few are
Ubisoft
cool.
formula.
Like all the missions basically feel the same. It's really just the stories that were really tying me into it, and like those were great, but it felt like it took so long to get those moments, and I just lost interest. And then I'm like, I'm not going to play this game anymore. I'm going to play the next game on the list, Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Oh,
Wow, what a great segue, guys.
I just want to say real quick about Valhalla. There's a hilarious glitch you can pull off when you go and play the Orloff game or whatever, the dice game.
Oh, yeah.
If when you flip a coin to see who goes first, as the coin's in the air, if you go to your map and fast travel somewhere, you will become invincible and you will pull 0 aggro from anybody. You can literally like just go in, kill people. Guards will be around you, and they're like, they don't even notice. They'll notice the body. They won't do anything to you though.
This has been
way to
Scott's
play
Glitch
Valhalla.
Corner.
Hey, you could almost say that was just the tip.
Don't reveal that yet. That's part of the private.
Patent pending.
No one knows what that is yet.
Scott, don't reveal yourself. He got me again.
Look at that.
He got me again.
Before we move on from Valhalla,
God.
I just want to put it out there that I bought Helix points so I could ride a big wolf, and then I never played the game again. I wanted to ride the wolf because it looked cool.
You sound like the
worth it.
ideal customer for Yves Guillemot.
Hey, look, man, I spent $1,000 on a game that's dead.
You
now,
know-
so,
Oh, man.
I don't feel as bad now.
One question, because I guess I should give everybody access to this. So would we put this on shortlist for actual game of the year?
I would say do it because Cam really did
Cam
dig it.
really likes it. Yeah,
Okay.
So yeah, I would say so.
I've played with it on my game. I'm top 10, but like,
I would say everyone's like pretty positive for. Other
Yeah,
than
I'm positive on it.
say everybody's.
yeah,
pretty
I'm very positive.
So
I don't buy Ubisoft games anymore.
this was the year. Like I usually like Ubisoft video games, and this was the year that I'm like, wow, I don't like any of these.
I'm over it. I'm over the formula. I'm over their company bullshit. I want to go into it now, but that was reason enough to me just go, I'm not even going to buy the second hand. I'm not interested.
But what
All right,
about
that's fair.
not
That's
Pilgrim
fair.
versus the World coming back? Come on.
I already own that.
That was
I
for the-
already owned that.
Where do you own it, and where can you play it?
I'm ready to play it again.
Exactly my point. Fuck that. I'm not buying it a second time. Fuck off.
You know what's not formulaic though? Our next game on the list.
Can I go first with this one?
Yes, can we have the Yakuza Coalition gather, because it's now time for Yakuza Like a Dragon. Logan Moore, take it away.
All right, so I haven't played this game yet, but it's also my game of the year. Because I saw a scene where a man chases a chicken, and then he cracks an egg into a bowl, and then he eats the bowl,
Yes.
and then he gets health. And that chicken
The chicken's name is Omelette.
We can move on, honestly. That's really all you need to know.
It's like Dragon
Chicken's
Quest.
name is Omelette.
That seems how game of the year is
It's like
decided.
Dragon Quest. Which game has an egg in it and a
I
chicken?
mean, we're talking about games that we like. That's a video game right there. Like, I don't want no serious mumbo jumbo. Make it something goofy like that.
In a diaper.
No, I've seen
that was
those.
the thing.
You showed
What
me
if I
that
told you there's a Pokemon side quest?
There is, yeah.
There is.
And it's really funny.
It's great.
I did not know that your
man.
summons were called pound mates when I started playing the game. And I was like,
What?
Oh,
it's called pound mates.
And when these
It's called your pound mates.
okay, let me tell you this: the pound mates.
Game.
Okay, just let me tell you this, right? The pound mates, the summons, they literally end up
So good.
becoming a factor because somebody mistakes them in your party, mistakes them for a sex line and calls up. And they say, we'll be there in like 2 minutes. And then during that time, a big burly black guy who is a series recurring character shows up and helps you beat the shit out of some thugs. And that's the service of the pound mates.
Don't forget the crab, the what is it? The crayfish that's called Nancy.
Okay, so I do actually have a legitimate question about this. So to cut to the chase, this is going to be on the short list. We're going to talk about this more next week. Do we even want to burn the arguments for it that we're going to have in a more extensive discussion next week? Like,
No.
I've already bolded it. We're going to talk about it more next week. It's obvious.
I'll give you a cliff notes just for anybody who isn't familiar, but then probably move on, I guess. I don't know.
I think that's probably.
I think that's a good idea because
go
I
ahead.
don't think there's any way it's not going to be talked about next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this is probably like I've played all the Yakuza games that have been localized. This is up there. This is my second favorite alongside Zero and only narrowly just beaten out by it. I think Ricky called it, basically perfect when he finished it.
It's
This
absolutely.
is,
Yeah.
this is easily in my top 10 favorite games of all time.
It's approaching that for me as well. Straight up, it really is that good. Story is brilliant, characters fantastic, implementation of RPG mechanics into the Yakuza stuff, great. It's funny, it's smart, it's
so heartfelt too.
so good.
It's amazing because I go into these games and I'm like, oh well, like this is gonna be a fun time. But like there is some moments where I just like was about in tears, and then he says something like, I just want to be a hero like in Dragon Quest, and I back to laughing. Like it is so good how they balance that tone.
It could so easily be tonal whiplash, but it never is.
It never is.
It commits to whatever it is doing 110% every time, serious or joking, all ties it all back together, and it's just good no matter what. And at the end, I was bawling. Just straight up bawling. That shit was intense. So yeah, it's great. It's not just a laugh a minute. It is a really good story. It is a really deep, well-written story with a great bunch of characters, fantastic world building, even though it is, technically just real life Japan. But even beyond that, it's just, yeah. I can never, ever talk highly enough about the Yakuza series. So, and this is one of the best. Simple. Done.
So would you say it's better than Judgment?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh
like-
no!
It's really fast.
Judgment's like
I
here,
think we can just leave it at that. Damn.
Seven's like here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. If that's actually true.
No!
Judgment is like third, fourth, or whatever. 7, yeah, Like a Dragon is straight second.
Sega's gonna be real big fans of us again.
I'm kind of with you guys now because I played 0, 1, and 2 this year, and like 2 is probably my favorite out of all of them, even though it's kind of like you have to know some things. But
I really like it too. Yeah.
You gotta play 3, Michael. You gotta play 3.
I know I just
Oh,
I really think there's some parts you in particular will appreciate.
I mean, if he fights tigers again, I mean, I don't know.
What? That's up. Oh yeah, he punches a tiger in 2.
Remember when we were gonna talk about this game?
Oh, man.
And we're talking
God, I already know. I can
about-
already see it. I'm gonna have to make the GIF. Remember last year when we made the Judgment GIF of Judgment killing all of the game of the years?
Yeah,
We're gonna make it just drop kicking me It's just gonna be me drop kicking.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yakuza Kiwami 2 came out this year on Xbox One.
No, well, it's totally even the best Yakuza game. Let me tell you. Like, that's the thing is, like, I'm so with you, Mario, but like, this game's like really good.
No. And to be fair, the only reason why I haven't played them is because I want to play them in sequential order. I know how much you guys don't want me to do that, but there's also 1,000 games.
This is my first one. Like that, I played Zero. Like it's my first real foray into it. Like I've put hours into it. Yep. It is fantastic. Ichiban is the best protagonist of the series.
I adore one,
like,
so I'm excited for to finish Zero. You know, so totally.
I would say 7 would be a pretty decent like point to start.
Yeah, I'm gonna update my guide to starting the series to include it. I think because it's a decent spot for it. Look, there's two kinds of people in the world. All right.
Listen, I feel
those who haven't played Yakuza and those who are fans. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, true.
Listen, I feel deep in my soul, deep in my soul that I will eventually play those games. But until then,
I can't wait to hear you talk about it. I really can't. I relish it.
Until then, we're going to be talking about Demon Souls next. Next up on the list, of course, we're talking about Blue Point's new remake, Demon Souls, by From Software. Am I not mistaken? I have a couple demon boys here that love demons. Ryan, I know that you played it a whole bunch. Would you like to talk about it after you finish your swig? You got it? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Actually, this was the game I think out of all the games I played on like the PS5 lineup.
Yeah.
And I kind of saved for last because I knew I would be frustrated and potentially break my PS5 playing this game.
Fair.
So that's why I waited to play it. And B, I think also because I knew it was going to be one that took me a little longer because like I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Souls games. Like I do like playing them. I just hate how they make me feel when I play them, which is mostly frustrated. But no, I think I enjoyed this game. Like I think I feel like I'm like probably Logan or someone would be able to speak better to this to me because Bloodborne's the only Souls games I've finished through the end other than this game. So, but I feel like this game kind of strips the Souls sort of formula like back to basics because obviously this was like the first one that sort of came out. But I think otherwise it's like a really good like demonstration of what the PS5 can do. Like it's gorgeous looking.
That parry feels so good on the DualSense.
Yeah. I think I think everything about the game just feels like pretty good, and there some of the boss fights are definitely bullshit. Like I just want to say fuck the man-eater because I hated that boss fight and I was stuck on that for like hours.
When did you go there? That was like the second to last. That was like one of the last boss fights I had in the whole game.
It wasn't one of the last ones I did, but like I got stuck there for a while, and when I beat it, it felt like the greatest achievement I've ever done in 2020. But no, as much as like Souls games, I'm not necessarily like a huge fan of them. Like not because I hate them, but just because they're not like games that I like want to play all the time. I have to be in like a specific mood for them. I did enjoy my time with Demon Souls, and I think it was a pretty good way to kickstart the PS5.
Yeah, I mean, this was the last game I reviewed for the site. I really liked it. So like I've played all the other ones at this point. I've played the entire Dark Souls series and then Bloodborne and Sekiro. So this was the one on my list I hadn't gotten to yet, and so I was like really impressed to see how well it still held up. I really like the format of it quite a bit because it separates itself a ton from the other ones, especially like Dark Souls. Dark Souls 1's got some like Metroidvania aspects to it to some degree, but like 3 is very much like a linear game, and 2 is to some respects as well. But yeah, like this is very much like, hey, you beat World 1-1, cool, you can do whatever the heck you want now. All other 5 worlds are wide open for you. And there's obviously a path, and there's like a certain way that you probably should go if you don't want to get your face caved in. But I really like that freedom to just go about it in any way that you see fit. Kind of like I said, like by the time you talk about how you really had a lot of trouble with the man-eaters. By the time I got to them, I was so like beefed up. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just mow these guys down like it's nothing. Like Flame Lurker was a little bit more difficult for me. Like I kind of started my playthrough in that like mining area or whatever. That was kind of one of the first areas I really focused on a lot. But that's cool to me that everybody can kind of come away with this like, oh, this proved to be the really difficult part of this game for me. Whereas other people, that might not be the case, which I think is kind of unique compared to like Bloodborne or something like that, where I feel like the first really like big like skill check in that game is Father Gascoigne. Like I feel like that's like the one part of that game that everybody's like, I'm having a ton of difficulty with this. Demon Souls, I think, is a cool inverse that other people might have totally different experiences with the game in that way. As far as its merits as a remake, it looks amazing. Obviously, the game running at 60 frames is like a huge deal. I tried to, obviously I've gotten used to playing all the others at 30, so I tried to switch back to it at one point, and just I don't know how I could play Bloodborne anymore. It would be really, really hard. They need to save that game somehow.
PS5.
I will gladly drop $70 on day one to pay for a remaster of that on PS5, because that's how stupid I am. But I think a lot of other people would be right there on day one as well. So
Bloodborne's amazing.
Hopefully they save that one. But yeah, like its merits as a remake, like Bluepoint's like incredible. Like I don't want to say they're slept on, because I feel like everybody realizes like what they do is like pretty remarkable, especially coming off of Shadow of the Colossus, which I also thought was just immaculate. Yeah, like they're one of the most impressive studios in the entire games industry to me at this point, even though I think what they do is obviously drastically different from what a lot of other people do. I know a lot of people didn't like some of the touch-ups they did in this game with some of the character models and things like that, and how they maybe over-detailed some of the worlds, and everybody's like, oh, I really like the bare gothic look of the original. It's like the original only looked that bare because you couldn't really, like, the PlayStation 3 couldn't do that much more with it. So like I don't know what their development process was with this, but I'm like fairly certain they stuck pretty closely to like the core concept art, and like they talked to FromSoft, I think, a little bit about the game. So I don't feel like it was like, I don't know. I've just seen these sentiments out there that like it was against what From Software's original vision was, and I'm like, I don't really see that, but okay. Yeah, I don't know. If you have a PS5, again, I sound like a broken record at this point, but play this game if you've not played a Souls-like yet. I think this is as good of a starting point as any, considering it's the starting point of all of them. Yeah, I'm glad I have finally seen this one through, and it's definitely one of my favorite games I played this year.
I do want to pose the same question you posed for Assassin's Creed. Is this something you think that will stand next week when we decide to talk about Game of the Year?
I mean, I feel like I'm the biggest fanboy for it here amongst us. I know Scott really likes it as well.
Oh, I'm big fan. I played and beat the original on PS3. I love Demon's Souls.
I think it's I think it's awesome. Yeah. But like, I would not say put it up for Game of the Year, just because it is a remake. In the same way that like my favorite game this year is Persona 5 Royal, I probably would not really present a case for that either. But that doesn't prevent them from both not potentially being my two favorite games I played this year. But at the same time, I don't know if I would really say it is.
Yeah, I really
in the year material or whatever.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm surprised that I'm not delving into it as much as I thought I was going to. I mean, initially that was the reason I was like, oh, PS5, let's go. And I found other things to love. But I think that's a common thing with Souls games, is like I slowly get into them, and then one day when I get into it, I am in it, and I'm finding all the ways to go about doing everything. And this one, it still hasn't kicked yet. I bet in 2021 I'll be singing a different tune. But right here, I'm like, yeah, it's a great game. But
yeah, I haven't started it yet because I need like a month of nothing else to do. So I'm waiting for January because there's so many other things that I'm trying to finish before these talks and next week's talks. So.
Yeah, I would not put it forward for Game of the Year personally. It's just, there's a lot else this year as well. So I think I just think it's a waste of time even trying to say it should be Game of the Year compared to everything else that's come out. But it's great. It's fantastic. If you own a PS5 and you don't own this game, I'm kind of confused why you own a PS5 already, I would say.
Yeah.
I think a great reason would be to play Astrobot.
Ooh.
Oh, yes, because Demon's Souls will definitely be a little Easter egg in the sequel if they ever make another one of Astro's Playroom, which we are talking about next. Yes, Astro's Playroom. I love this game. I'm just gonna come out and
It's
say
ironically, I will
it's
vouch
so
for this
good.
as game of the year.
Exactly.
100% honest. Like,
yes.
this is like maybe my favorite experience of the entire year for multiple reasons, and a lot of that is like you can't separate this game. I think for most people here, like this is the first thing I played on my PS5, so it's got
First
that
platinum.
kind of behind it. Yeah, first platinum on the PS5. I mean, aside from the fact that this is totally a tech demo for the DualSense, it's just such an enjoyable, jolly little game. I don't know. It's a lot of it's tied to nostalgia though too. That's the other thing.
Totally.
You definitely.
I think it's a genuinely a great platformer too. Like I think that that nostalgia does have a lot to do with it, and it kind of shows you like, oh shit, we've come a long way since the PS1. But I think like the Astrobot as a character has lent itself to be such a great mascot for PlayStation. I think I really want to see a full-blown, like, what they can do with a whole game, and totally take that nostalgia and, bump it into every area,
Yeah, if they want to still stick with the vibe of it being a celebration of PlayStation, I'm totally down for that. I'm very curious how they could go about that.
I would like to see them personally, if I would absolutely love a full blown like experience, like Astrobot experience, platformer experience, but I don't know how. But I wouldn't want the nostalgia nods. I love the nostalgia nods in Astro's Playroom. I loved finding all the relics and things like that, but I think if it went on for a 10 or 15 hour long platforming collectathon, kind of in a similar vein as an original Jak and Daxter or Crash or Ratchet and Clank, I don't know. I think I would get kind of tired, especially because we have Astro's Playroom that scratches that nod. Maybe if they did like costumes where you like a Bloodborne costume kind of thing where you get those abilities, that could be kind of cool, but I wouldn't want it as in your face.
Well, I think
we love PlayStation history for a full-blown game.
No, I understand that, but I feel like a lot of the collectibles that you get can then lead into some of the other level designs that they did. Like specifically, there's the part where you can see the triggers where you have to like jump across them.
Oh yeah.
If they include those into the level in terms of like the eye toy, the gun and stuff like that, if it was something that was implemented into new levels going forward, and then I would probably be interested. Like when they introduced, there's a part in the game where you get the bow and arrow, and it's in the CPU jungle area. Very much could have tied into a Tomb Raider or into a Uncharted section, and I thought that would have been kind of cool. But I'm just, if they want to continue down the nostalgic route of it, I personally, who's beaten it? Everybody's playing them. Okay. How about the people that are? I'm sorry. Can I talk about the end of the game?
I mean, it's a pretty it's like a pretty cut spoiler, honestly.
It's Okay, spoilers for then Astro's Playroom. What is really cool about it is that you fight the dinosaur from the demo disc, which I hope in the future terms, like if they did multiple levels or multiple expansion packs, it would be the other demo discs that you've gotten throughout the years, which I think would be pretty cool. But ultimately, I just think that it's a great starting point, and I just feel like it is such a great showcase for this system and the different things that you can do and the actual minutia and control that you can have on the controller, whether it being the doing the monkey thing or doing the rollerball. To me, I think is probably the most accurate out of the bunch. That one to me was actually probably the most fun. Obviously, the DualSense is such a showcase in this game that still nothing has compared to it, and it's only been a couple months. So I'm excited to see what and if we get more implementation of this. But like the little raindrops that land on your controller, the little pitter-patter.
Those raindrops. I think the biggest highlights for me are for the DualSense are the raindrops jumping into the water in the beach level, and then the minigun for the triggers. Like I feel like they all feel so good and so like, oh shit, like I am doing this, great showcase. And I think like it's one of the best tech, like quote unquote tech demos since Wii Sports.
This is like, I mean, yeah, I said it before, but this is like unironically like one of my favorite games of the year. Like, I don't know if I'm doing a top 10 or what. I haven't even put one together yet, but like, this is probably in my top 5 favorite things I've played this year. Because yeah, like, and Scott was talking about how it's like there's a lot of nostalgia, and like I mean the rescue mission exists, so they've done a separate game to prove that like this formula works outside of the nostalgia attached to it. But I think that nostalgia was just kind of the thing that brought this all together, because anytime you do jump generations, you're kind of reflective of the past ones as well. So I think this was a really cool showcase, not only to be like, oh, here's everything cool and new with the PS5 and with the DualSense, but like, here's where we've come from, and here's everything from the past that you're familiar with. And it feels weird to be nostalgic for PlayStation in some senses. Like, some of that stuff that was coming up, I was like, oh man, the PlayStation 2, wow, I haven't seen this in forever. And I was like, wait a minute, that was 20 years ago almost. Like, it's really bizarre. Like, but I appreciated it. Yeah, I appreciated the nods, and it didn't feel like it was like, I've jokingly said that this is the Ready Player One of the PlayStation library, but I think the way that they handled a lot of that stuff was it not so beaten over the head like that dude does. What's his name? Ernest Cline.
Yeah,
I definitely
Remember the 80s? Ooh, I remember.
the seeing like the stuff from the PS2 and thinking about it being 20 years old, just it gives me, oh yeah, I know why Ghost Runner gave me carpal tunnel. But yeah, great game.
Fantastic. Also, if you have PlayStation VR, get Astro's Rescue Mission.
Astrobot. Yeah.
Such a good game as well.
Okay, cool. I think we're gonna, before we get to the next games, we're just gonna take a quick break.
This holiday season, one studio partners with a certain video game website to bring you one massive giveaway.
That's right. DualShockers is partnering with 11-Bit Studios to give away 100 codes of This War of Mine Complete Edition for Nintendo Switch. This War of Mine is an award-winning survival game where you play as a group of civilians trying to survive a brutal, war-torn world. The Complete Edition includes the base version of the game, plus all previously released content such as the Little Ones DLC and the Stories content. If this game screams you, like the screams of the victims of the war-torn society that has failed them at every turn, then here's how to enter. Click the link in the description below, follow the instructions, and do as many things on that checklist as you like. But remember, the more things you do on the checklist, the more chances you have to win. The giveaway is only available to US customers, codes only redeemable on the Nintendo Switch. Now the giveaway only runs till December 20th, so act fast before these codes are gone.
And we're back, and we're actually joined by somebody else. We actually have Cameron Hawkins now joining us. How you doing, Cam?
Good. Just had a long day at the vet, but outside of that, doing good.
Okay, great. And you're happy that we kept Assassin's Creed, but we killed Dark Souls. Is that correct?
Demon Souls.
Unfortunately, I still think the Demon Souls should still be bolded, but I would take Assassin's Creed Valhalla over Demon Souls. Yes.
Fantastic. And now we're moving on to the Pathless, which of course is a was actually a launch title, I believe, not mistaken, for PS5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking today about it, I believe, is Ryan. Ryan, you said you played it. How's the Pathless?
Yeah, I played
it 10 out of 10.
or an 8 out of 10.
What did we give this game?
No, Pathless is really good. It's the second game from Giant Squid, who are the developers that made Abzu. And this game, I think, kind of follows an Abzu, where it's a very sort of experiential, very very pretty game. It's really striking and beautiful. And yeah, I think I really enjoyed this game a lot. I think it definitely, if you're looking for something that's kind of in the vein of Journey and especially Shadow of the Colossus, I think this game kind of has a lot of vibes of. It's a really unique game. I think that you'll enjoy, and it has some amazing music too. The music is done by Austin Wintory, who did Journey. He did Abzu. He did the Banner Saga games. It has an incredible score, and yeah, this is one I think that's definitely worth checking out if you're into something that's a little different from, I guess, the more AAA games that have come out at the PS5 launch.
Yeah, he did my favorite song, "Don't Start Believing." It's really great.
What?
He said Journey, guys. He said he did Journey.
I saw what you did there, and I didn't want to give you the time of day.
I hate you.
Just had separate ways instead.
Nick, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much I share the sentiments with Ryan. I've only played like an hour or two of it. Real cool game, real unique game, I think. Like, it definitely shares some similarities with other games like Shadow of the Colossus in vibe.
Breath of the Wild,
I really enjoy it.
Vibes, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I enjoyed it so far.
Moving on, I think we're going to go ahead and talk about Sackboy, A Big Adventure. He's moving out. He's left the Little Big Planet, and he's now going on his own little venture. I think it's the college years.
I don't think we are going to talk about it. I don't think anybody's here even played
Has
it.
anybody here played about it?
I don't think so.
All right, well, moving on. Moving on to a game that matters more.
It's a game that came out.
That's right.
I heard it's like it exceeded.
I heard it's really good.
I heard it's really good. I really want to play it.
that.
I heard it has a lot of great like music covers in levels similar to like the Rayman games that came out not that long ago. So
Planet had some stuff as well.
when it comes on sale, I definitely want to check this game out.
Yeah, I agree.
But until
It'll be
then,
crazy to see if
PlayStation Plus.
but
You know
here,
what else
speaking of
PlayStation
PlayStation
Plus,
Plus, here's a great game that you can play right now for free.
All right,
It is
you
called
could've.
Okay,
Bug
that's
Snacks.
okay.
Don't lie.
Oh,
free. It's still free.
Bug Snacks.
Oh wait, it is.
That's
still
a
free,
tag
that's right.
team.
It is
I
still
think it's
free.
Tag team move.
Yes, I have platinumed it twice. I love this game. I platinumed Bug
How do you
Snacks.
practice twice?
Yep, I played it twice. I played it all the way
PS4,
through
yeah,
twice.
PS5 and the PS4 version.
Yes.
Yeah,
I got a code.
Thank you, Mark. Sir.
My code came from Papa Agenda, which gave me a PS4, PS5 copy. So I was able to play the game twice. I actually played it PS4 first, then I moved on and played the PS5, which was interesting because it does have those feedback controls, which is pretty nice. But Bug Snacks, very small title of you go to an island, you do some Pokemon Snap stuff. You do, of course, some helping puzzle solving along with like the community that you have, and it expands into this story about this group of people that all of a sudden are lumped together on this place, and they grow to either like each other or different problems that they have. Ultimately, this game is awesome because of the ingenuity of the creatures and then how to capture them in different ways. I personally really love the story, and I've begged about and talked about how much I thought the ending was absolutely insane. And I want to talk about it more extensively. If you want to hear me talk about it, I talked about it on another podcast somewhere else. So go find that. I'll probably leave it in the show notes. But
I think Bug Snacks goes from Pokemon Snap to Last of Us Part 2 real fast.
Real fast. With a sprinkle of Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. It's so good.
Oh. You told me the ending of this because I'm like, just tell me and I'm not gonna play it. And that it's what? I'm like, I don't know. It's
you
really
definitely.
weird.
I'll say. So you didn't tell me exactly what happened, but you definitely hyped it up a lot. And by the time I got there, I was expecting more than it even was, and I was a little disappointed.
Really?
I was like, oh, that was it. Okay.
Did everyone? I can't say that. Damn it.
No.
Shouldn't spoil Bug Snacks.
No, you can't. You can't spoil Bug Snacks. There's still the ending. I will say, if you do the good ending, you do get a special treat at the end of the credits.
You just blew my mind. I think there's a full ending.
What?
There's multiple endings?
Depending on what you do at the end of the game, yes.
What the?
Wow.
What the
I don't
fuck?
think they're hugely different, though.
No. You literally get a coda. You get a coda scene. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to say anything else, but you can Google it. It's very
we
small.
talking like Mass Effect ending? Is there
No,
a blue
I literally
ending,
said
a red
it earlier,
ending?
and if you didn't catch what I said, then don't worry about it.
Okay.
We'll talk about it offline.
Perfect.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything to say about Bug Snacks? I personally wanted to still talk about it during tomorrow. I want to fight for it. I'll say we could spoil it during that discussion.
I don't know. I'm gonna try to beat it. And we'll see. I would be in that same camp with you. I absolutely adore this game already. I think the characters are super charming. I really love Philbo. I think I connect with that, his bout real quite a bit. And I like to see where this game is going. I like collecting the Bug Snacks and kind of finding the mysteries of Snackville or whatnot.
Snack.
Yeah. But yeah, I am willing to talk about it next week, but I don't think that we're gonna have any sort of ground to stand on, to be honest.
I found every character in this game to be annoying as hell, and it's not even because of what they said; it's because of how they look. I cannot.
I love the way they look.
They got these like huge underbites, and it's like
Yeah.
very.
Well, first of all, you can customize them
I don't
any
know,
way you
man.
like. My people look all individual like different snacks.
Oh yeah, my people looked insane as well. But
Horrifying now. Someone's got like a rib arm. It's real weird.
Listen,
yeah, feeding them. I'll say capturing the bug snacks and then feeding them is the most enjoyable part. And there's some fun things you can do, like this is kind of a spoiler, but not really. Like the one dude who sleepwalks around the town, but he won't eat them normally. But then you can feed them to him while he sleepwalks, and then he wakes up and his body's like, what happened?
Yeah,
like that's pretty funny.
No, 100%. Also a trophy. Do that.
Jesus Christ.
No, 100%.
Yeah, you can modify his body while he's asleep. It's not a crime unless you're caught.
G-rated horror.
Yes.
Some would say bug
That's what it
sex
sounds
more
like. That's what it really sounds like.
than cyberpunk.
We're not doing this
100%.
crossover.
Chris hits the nail on the head. G-rated horror.
It's one
G-rated horror, yeah.
100%. Anyways, shout out to Chadlow. By the way, Chadlow is my favorite guy in the whole game. Okay, I'm ready to move on. We're going to talk about some real good nerd shit. I'm really excited. Cameron, the elder, as we call them in our Discord chat, Cameron Hawkins. Can we talk about Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory?
Yeah, we can. Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. It's a real good rhythm game that is supposed to recap people on the story of Kingdom Hearts, and it does that very poorly. And that's why I gave it a 7.5 on my review. It probably would have been a lot higher if it
Isn't that Kingdom Hearts story in a nutshell?
No. But regardless of that, it's one of those things where for those that decide for some reason to start with Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory as their first Kingdom Hearts game, and they decide not to play the other games, like this game doesn't really tell you like anything of like real substance to know going into this new arc that's happening. So, but again, like I think it's really great. Like it's crazy how many songs are on it, and it's I like how they implement the Kingdom Hearts like DNA, whether when it comes to like just the hack and slashing and the like synthesis to get like new songs or things like that is really cool. It makes it stand out from like the Theorhythm games, which the developer who made this game, made the Theorhythm titles. So it's a solid game, definitely worth playing, especially if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan or if you just like Kingdom Hearts music. But when it comes to just the recapping of the story, some would say it's probably only good to play it if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan. Like honestly, like I don't I think that Cam kind of hits the nail on the head. Like it doesn't really recap anything that's besides like the super baseline stuff. And as we all know from Kingdom Hearts, if you have any minus of information, you're already lost. You're already gone. Fully agree with that, but I get what you're saying.
I think in terms of just this game though, like I think the rhythm mechanics are super cool. They're super Kingdom Hearts. They definitely feel like it's not a tacked on rhythm game. It definitely feels like it's in the Kingdom Hearts world. It's something that feels like an evolution of that, just in terms to convert it into a rhythm game. But yeah, it's a game.
Can I just say, I would absolutely love to make a video or something of sitting someone who has never played a Kingdom Hearts game and having them play Melody of Memory and then telling me about what the series is about. I would love to see that.
I would
Becky,
for my wife.
Yeah, because the thing is
I have an idea.
It might like. I'm not gonna speak for anyone else, but for me, in my opinion, like the thing that makes Kingdom Hearts great is like the story and the characters and the relationships, and you don't get any of that shit in Melody of Memory. You have no you don't know like why Roxas is like super important in like Kingdom Hearts 2. Like you don't know like any of that stuff. Like it's just like, oh, Roxas returns to Sora's body, and like it's like what? It's just like it doesn't tell anything. So but again, like I think it's very much like very fun to like go back and play through a lot of those games and things like that for sure.
I'm waiting for it to go on sale, but as it released, I watched the ending of it, and boy howdy, is that a Kingdom Hearts ending.
It's not a
really
real
is
Kingdom
day.
Hearts game unless there's a crazy ending with the expansive lore built into it.
Here's the thing, like people can give Nomura shit all they want. Like, don't get me wrong, like I don't think he's ever done anything wrong, but I still think he's a fucking genius. But like with that being said, it's crazy with the ending of that game how he still somehow makes it make sense within the context of the Kingdom Hearts universe. Like in general, like when we hear it as someone like viewing it, it's like this is ridiculous. But when it comes to Kingdom Hearts, it's like no, this makes perfect
If you're
sense.
in the lore.
And so we're going this route now, and it's like cool. Let's work. Let's do it. So, we'll see when whatever new Kingdom Hearts game comes out in like 2 years. So
Kingdom Hearts 13 verses.
No, there you go.
That would be amazing.
Over
That
8
would be
days.
amazing.
Final Mix Plus Alpha.
That would be amazing. So.
My soul just died on it.
Nomura just needs to go to the Falcom School of Connected Narrative to really make it
Falcom
expand.
School Connected.
13 verses over
They
50,
make it.
possibly.
Oh god. No, stop, please.
All right. Well, we're gonna move on. Speaking of complicated lore, can you please, Cameron? I know that you've also enjoyed this game, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Tell us about your feelings about that game.
Yeah. So I mean,
What's it like playing as Reagan?
We're going from Cold War to Cold War.
Reagan is like literally in that one scene that they show in the trailer, and that's it. So it's in the campaign, but like
He's also at the very. He's in the best scene in the whole game. If you do the bad ending, okay, we'll get into.
Oh, if you do the bad end, okay.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
It's so for me, like I wasn't a big fan of Black Ops 2 through 4. Basically, I liked Black Ops 3 Zombies because like they brought back like the Black Ops 1 zombie maps, things like that. And with Cold War, I was really looking forward to it. It's like the first Call of Duty since a long time that I actually bought it day one. Actually, probably since Black Ops 3 that I bought day one. And the reason was because they were bringing back Alex Mason and Frank Woods, who's like the main characters in the first campaign, which made me super happy. But like they're not really the focus in the campaign, and it's more of just like this kind of build your own character background, and like the story and like the plot twist and stuff like that. I wasn't like blown away like I was in like Black Ops 1 or but I do I did like it, and I did like how they did have some aspects of Black Ops 1's campaign like storytelling DNA in it. I thought the mission where you go into the the Soviet Union agency, I forgot what it was called.
Lubyanka.
But what's the agency called?
Oh, the not the GRU.
The Hitman mission?
No, the one. It's like the Russian Secret Service.
Yeah, the Russian,
KGB.
yeah,
KGB.
The KGB.
I didn't play the game.
It's like, oh yeah, I got it. The KGB, like that mission was incredible. Like I loved that mission. I thought that mission was like probably the best Call of Duty mission in a long time. Like
it was a fun one.
Really, really good. And I liked how like in between missions, it wasn't just like, all right, let's go to this next mission. You actually had to find like intel and things on clues to like know where you needed to go next and stuff like that. And there were still like missions where you did play as Mason, and they did like there were callbacks to the original Black Ops where it's like, oh, like this place we went to in the first Black Ops that we like blew up. Well, now we have to go back there, and then like because Alex has like the numbers embedded inside him, like when he goes back there, like you see the numbers appear on the screen again, and so, it's really, really cool, like for those that like played the first Black Ops campaign in a way that doesn't like that's not like too much, that's like not too in your face about it. I really, really like the campaign for what it was. And I really like the zombies. I'm a big traditional like zombies player. Like I honestly didn't like zombies after the first Black Ops 2 moving forward. I wasn't really a big fan of like they just basically made it too complicated. They put too many mechanics into it, and I like the simplicity that it had. But this time around, like they kind of like reeled that back, but still adding new things as well. Like zombies now have health bars, which at first I was like, when I first was told that, I was like, that sounds terrible. But then I actually started playing it, and it's actually really, really good. Like I really, really like the zombies this time around, and I think that it'll be like the first Call of Duty for like in a long time, where I actually like might check out every new map as it comes out and see what's new and things like that. But overall, I really liked Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Liked it a lot.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it as well when it came out actually, and I think while I'm not so hot on the zombie mode, I'm not really so hot on the campaign mode even though I completed it. I actually enjoyed playing just the multiplayer. Just something about Call of Duty multiplayer that always draws me in, and for some reason I think this one specifically brought me back. I played a lot of Modern Warfare, but this one too, just the fact that it was a lot more grounded, because the last several Black Ops games have been kind of crazy. The fact that they were, kind of went back to a more grounded stance with it, I ended up having a good time. I like the speed of it too for some reason. It's just really fast. I am playing it on PS5, so it has the haptic feedbacks with the controllers. I don't mind them. I know that some people have some complaints, especially if you're playing against like crossplay with PC players. But I've had a decent time. I'm pretty damn good with a sniper rifle in that game. But yeah, I mean, as Call of Duty goes, I just feel like Call of Duty has just met like a goalpost, and if it can at least hit that goalpost, it's totally fine.
Yeah, and well, here's something that I noticed when I was playing it, and like I actually had to ask people that I knew that already played it to see if they were in the same boat. But like I really felt like and it might have been just because I was using the Elite Series 2 controller on Xbox, but like the shooting felt like really good. Like I was really surprised because I played Modern Warfare on PC because it came with my PC, but I didn't like remember I still used a controller, and I don't remember like really any sort of like great feeling when it came to the shooting. But like this time around, I was like really impressed. Like I don't know if it was a controller thing or if it was like I really don't know, but like I really loved the shooting in that game, like how it felt when holding the controller. Like I don't think it like is on par or surpasses, but like I think for me it was like close to like Doom. Like that's how much I enjoyed it. So that's something else I wanted to mention.
I think the thing that stood out the most to me, speaking specifically to the campaign, was something I know Otto and I are aligned on. Because you wrote the review for the site, and you talked about how the campaign, the entire campaign, it's teasing like some sort of twist, or like it's obvious that not everything that's showing you is the truth. And there's a really good mission towards the end with the whole loop back thing where they do it again with the Vietnam mission callback. That's a really good mission, even though it crashed for me probably 12 times on my Xbox Series X. There was something wrong with the current update on that mission when I was playing it. Anyway, that mission's really cool, but then they reveal like the twist in the narrative, and then the game is immediately over next in a mission that is quite possibly the shortest mission in the entire game, no matter what you do either way. Like there's a good mission where you get the good ending, and then the bad ending where you do a bad mission, and either way it's like a 5-minute mission and then the game's over. So they do the twist and then it's just over. It is
incredibly disappointing. I like the campaign in that game was serviceable to me. I can appreciate Treyarch and Raven Software, although I think Raven did more of the multiplayer stuff. But I can appreciate them, working, trying to break out of that very strict and rigid box of what a Call of Duty game is. They put in the downtime. Great thing that Cam mentioned. I love that there was downtime in that game. Gathering intel, very cool. Their dialogue choices, very cool. But it's a Black Ops title, and everyone, I feel like the Black Ops series, their campaigns are known for their, subversion of your usual Modern Warfare or Call of Duty story of there are terrorists, go kill them, you are good guy America. And it saved this mystery that it's hinted to in some dialogue options that you can easily miss. And as soon as you get this mystery reveals itself, and you go, oh shit, game's over with not a bang but a pop. To me, it was incredibly disappointing.
Can I please talk about the bad ending, please? Because it's so funny.
It's so funny.
It's so funny. It's like one of the funniest things I've ever seen in a video game.
The best part about it was just virtual Ronald Reagan being like, "Oh,
yes,
shit."
Yes. So, okay, does anybody here care I don't care about the people.
You shouldn't care about it. Don't care about
so if you get to the very end of the game, you find out you're actually a Russian agent who's been brainwashed, and you're fighting for the good guys.
By the CIA. You've been brainwashed by the CIA.
Yes. So you're actually a Russian, like, second in command to the actual big Russian evil man. And so the very final thing you can decide to do in the game is either be like, no, you're right. The reason you're on their side is because the Russian dudes, like, sold you out and tried to kill you. So you can either stay allegiant to them and be like, okay, they tried to kill me, but I'll still side with them anyway and we'll nuke the world. Or you can side with the CIA and go kill the Russians. If you side with the Russians, you go to this spot in Russia, I think. The final mission is you kill your entire squad. So you're mowing down like Woods and Mason and everybody else. You murder everyone, and then you blow up all of Europe with nukes. And then the final thing you see in the campaign is it cuts to Ronald Reagan and wherever, the White House or whatever, and he's watching all of Europe get nuked, and he's like, Commander, destroy all knowledge that we were associated with this. and then the credits roll.
Cover it up. He just says, cover it up. It never happened.
He's like, cover it up. We were never associated with any of this.
Meanwhile,
and that's it.
Literally, the entire story revolves around, for some fucking reason, America planted nukes in every single major city in Europe. Never explained, by the way. They're just like, this is just in case the Soviets take over Europe. As if that's a fucking excuse.
It's great. But the best part is that Ronald Reagan doesn't show up in the good ending, I don't think.
No.
He only shows up at the start of the game, and then the only other time he's in it is at the very end if Europe gets nuked to hell.
That sounds like Reagan, though.
Like,
Hold on. That's not even like, that doesn't even matter. In the Black Ops 1 campaign, you fucking have a mission with JFK, and then he's gone for the rest of the game. Who cares? Who cares that Reagan's gone?
Because
Reagan... Also, the bad ending is where Reagan stays. I'm just saying.
So will the next one be Call of Duty Cold War on drugs?
That's good.
My God.
Please.
That was a good job.
Nancy Reagan.
No, I think the next one's going to be Call of Duty Proud Boys.
Oh God.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
I hate that the good ending is you still get shot. That still pisses me off.
You still get shot.
It's not. You don't know. You don't know.
They're being so coy at the end of it.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've said all that there needs to be said about Black Ops Cold War.
Just choose if you play the game, choose the bad ending. It's way more fun. It's 10 times more fun.
No, if you choose to play the game, just don't install the campaign. Just play the Call of Duty zombie mode.
Campaign is good. The campaign is good.
How's the multiplayer like maps like compared to Modern Warfare? Because I thought the Modern Warfare maps were good.
They are. So it's an extremely arcadey Call of Duty multiplayer game.
Yeah, it is.
It's very different from Modern Warfare in that way, and that extends to the maps. They're that traditional 3-lane design, except Raven Software built in a lot more angles. They're like windows that you can, peek through, and like all these corners. Also, your character jumps like a fucking basketball player. You can straight up. I'm not even joking. From the ground floor of a building, you can jump into the second story window. Yeah. It is wild. It is so, I actually
everybody is Julius Irving in this world.
It's fucking insane. I actually love that part of it. The maps are underwhelming. There's not a whole lot of them, especially when you compare it to Modern Warfare. Although Modern Warfare has the caveat of it's been out for a year.
Yeah.
But
even those like beginning maps, I thought were really good in Modern Warfare.
Yeah, no, I really like Modern Warfare's maps. I just really like Modern Warfare also.
I really like it.
It's got some winners, and then it's got Satellite is absolute dog.
Which one's Satellite? Is that the desert one?
Desert one with the giant satellite in the middle.
Oh, I go off on that one on Sniper, though. I go off on that on Sniper.
It might be a personal thing.
I just want to say I find it really funny that 5 minutes ago
Mario said he really thing.
He really liked the multiplayer because it was more grounded this time around. And then I was like, oh yeah, you can also jump straight into 2-story windows.
It's grounded for a Call of Duty game. It is if you played Call of Duty games, because I'm 25, if you played Call of Duty games when you were in high school and you're like my age, you'll play this and just be like, it's a nostalgia.
What's that, like Infinite Warfare and like Advanced Warfare?
Nah, dude. Like,
those are the good ones.
Like Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2. I guess
Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2. Yeah.
But you got that entire experience with those maps. It's extremely similar. Even the gameplay, kind of like just movement wise, gunplay wise, it feels extremely similar. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, enough of Black Ops. Enough of Black Ops.
It's not Game of the Year.
It's not.
It's not. No, God.
No.
No, not even close. Something that might be Game of the Year, and honestly, one of my favorites for sure. I feel a somewhat personal connection with this game, primarily because I got to do something pretty cool, and if you can see this on the site, but of course we're talking about Spider-Man Miles Morales, the latest in the Insomniac Spider-Man games. Guys, this game rules. I'm just gonna start and just say that I enjoy every bit of this game. I love the fact that it's not super long. It is actually a pretty manageable size. The world isn't super dense with so many different meaningless side quests. I think a lot of the stuff that you do in the game is pretty solid for what they offer. And I think that the actual story that they tell with Miles and his character, I think, is actually a really good one. I really appreciate this game on multiple levels. Not the fact that it is a video game about a Puerto Rican mixed individual that I get to see on screen and be celebrated. So I have a lot to say, but I'll pass it on to everyone else. Logan, I know that you actually reviewed the game specifically. I mean, what were your thoughts on the game itself?
I didn't like it as much as the last one. A lot of that I think was just for story reasons, though. I didn't think the story was, and that's not to say that like I think the writing is really fantastic in this. I think Miles is a great protagonist. I think he's really likable. I just think the main story push itself, like Roxxon's kind of a lame antagonist, and I know that the Tinkerer is in there too as a sort of baddie as well. But the stakes are high in it. And the conclusion's cool. There's some really cool sequences in it, but I just never felt like I don't know, the condensed nature of it too. I felt like the story didn't have enough room to breathe at times like that. A lot of I talked in my review about how there was like a lot of small character moments in the first Spider-Man that I really liked, and I felt like there wasn't as many of those in this game, unfortunately. That said, it's still phenomenal, and I was like really happy that it was one of the first things I played on my PS5. So.
Cam, actually, you were part of my panel that we had for both Miles Morales. Did you have anything more that you wanted to talk about that you'd like to discuss about the game?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the game. I probably am with Logan, where I think as a collective, I think the first game is better, but I still think that I do like the story of this game more. And I kind of get where Logan's saying like that it needed to breathe, but also I feel like that it was just kind of I don't know, because I mainlined the game and I feel like that the story was pretty well paced. I didn't feel like it was that I was rushing into anything or anything like that. Again, I liked the story and how it was like more intimate and like personally like connected to Miles, and that is still the case with like Peter in Spider-Man PS4. Yeah. I think it's just more for me, like I didn't expect it to, and I think that actually hurt the game in the long run for me with for Spider-Man PS4. But like I think overall it's just I think that there's just more options and things like that in Spider-Man PS4 because it's a bigger experience, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying like bigger always means better, but like just like in the combat, there's just more variety in what you can do and things like that. While like with Miles, it's just more pretty much the Venom powers, which are relatively limited. But again, overall, I think it's a great game. I personally like wouldn't consider it a Game of the Year nominee, but like I still really, really like it. And I definitely plan on and as someone who doesn't really care about platinum trophies, I want to get the platinum for this game and play it again on New Game Plus and everything like that. But I really enjoyed it. So
yeah, I do want to tap into something you said, especially about the story being a little bit more personal. Like right off the bat, I'd say with this one than it is. You find that out later in the Peter Parker one. But the Peter Parker one, in a lot of ways, I felt hit a tone randomly at a certain point, and the mood of the thing changes. And that to me is right when the Miles Morales stuff really starts on that specific game. That to me is when the game changes, and you're like, oh, This is not what I'm used to for my Spider-Man game, which is I think is a good thing. I just think that it's just more jarring at that point. In line with like this one, and I know you're a huge fan of the Sam Raimi films. A lot of those, what I think is good about those movies, and I'm just talking good things about those movies, is the connection of Peter to the villain specifically, and how they influence his life. And I think those stories are great, and I'm glad that this game continues that trend with the Tinkerer. I'm not going to say who that person is, but ultimately I do think that that is a strength of the story and the way that it carries on all the way to the climax of the game specifically, and how much that means to all the side quests that you do in the game are integral to this story, because if you do them while mainlining it, it builds on that ending, especially when it's about that small area of New York. I think that's what was the greatest strength of the game. And in terms of bringing up when you said that there's a lot more to do in Spider-Man, while I agree, I do think, because I replayed it because they added, the Performance Plus mode. I played both games, the remaster and this one, and I noticed that I was just had too much to do in Spider-Man, because it's a wheel and there's a lot of stuff. While I like the compactness of Miles Morales and only having these certain things, and it made me be more fluid that way, as opposed to like I'm spamming all these things. Well, for some reason, Miles, I would only do one specific thing, but that's just me specifically.
Yeah. No, I think like the content, like the side content, is better. Is better in Miles Morales. But I'm just talking about more like variety in combat and things like that. That I wish Miles had. Despite still thinking the Venom powers were really cool, and also like even though while I still do prefer the story of Miles Morales more than Spider-Man PS4, I like there were like some pretty like major plot points that just kind of just fall off. Like not even like, oh, we're setting this up for the next game, but they just kind of stop. Like with Miles and his uncle and like things like that, and it's just like, oh, so there's just not going to be like a real resolution for this right now, and like I assume there's going to be another Miles Morales game, but it didn't end on a note where it's just like, okay, we're setting this up for the next game. It just kind of ended, if that makes sense, abruptly. But again, like overall, like I think it's a really fun game, a really great like first party launch title for Sony, and I'm looking forward to playing the next PlayStation, the next Spider-Man game when it comes out.
Yeah,
I kind of disagree with that whole that it kind of ends abruptly. I think it wraps up really well that like Miles has found himself as his own Spider-Man. He refers to himself as Spider-Man, not referring when he talks about Spider-Man. He's not necessarily talking about Peter anymore. But I never viewed Miles Morales so much as a new game as opposed to a bridge between what they're doing, like a Spider-Man 1.5 or like a super expansion, like a standalone expansion. I love everything in Miles Morales. I mirror a lot of the things you've said, Cam and Logan and Mario and everything like that. But for me, it's just like we want to show off the tech we have, and people really like Miles. So let's do Miles Morales and kind of start teasing at things, the really crazy stuff we will do in the actual Spider-Man 2. And that's kind of the vibe I got from the whole game. It was fleshing out and establishing Miles so that in Spider-Man, they don't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
And it can just like go balls to the wall. So
yeah, I
still love Miles Morales. I think it's a fantastic.
And to bring up you talking about the relationship between the Prowler or Uncle Aaron, I should say. I do think that it does serve the actual story that they told, and his resolution at the end there for sure. But you're right, I could see how it kind of is just sort of sped up at the end there. I wish. There was a little more time
minor spoilers for all things related to Prowler, but there's never been a Miles Morales story that involves Prowler where he doesn't end up getting just like killed at the end of it. So if they're not going down that route, there's some like different things for them to do with that character, I guess. So I don't know. Yeah. Prowler always dies, at least in every mainline thing in Spider-Verse and in the comics.
Spider-Verse as well.
Yeah. So,
great game.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, I got
Let's
lost.
talk about the best PS5 launch game.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
If you
fun.
thought all was lost in 2020, there was one
God.
left. God.
We have
You ready for
a
those,
long
Chris?
way to fall.
You lead off, buddy. You lead off, buddy.
We're talking about Godfall by Gearbox Studios. Chris.
Published by Gearbox.
Published by Gearbox, my bad. Sorry.
Yeah.
Chris and Scott, how you guys doing? Talk about Godfall.
Yeah, not bad.
I'm ready for Godfall to be in my rear view mirror.
All right, then let's move on to Hyrule Wars.
I mean, as much as I'd be okay with that, I do feel we needed to do our due justice in trashing this game.
A fair amount of trash then.
What I want to hear your thoughts on it, Chris, because I've done the review and everything, so mine are kind of on there, out there on our on DualShockers.com and our YouTube channel. I want to hear kind of your thoughts because you played on the PC version while I played on PS5. So
Yeah, God, a CPU locked me so goddamn hard. It did not want to run well. But beyond that, it's like they decided to make their game. It's sort of like how the PS3 era of graphics was all just like, brown, bloom, etc., right? It's like the developers for this thought, okay, PS5 is going to be shiny. So everything is shiny to the point where even dark rooms are shiny and too bright to look at while being pitch black. It's bizarre. I don't know how to explain the aesthetic style, but it literally gave me a headache. Like in minutes, I could not look at it any longer. And that headache built until I was literally nauseous and had to stop playing. And I didn't
yeah, I
go
just
back.
turned down the bloom and light brightness, and I couldn't deal with it either. It's like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, the gameplay was not good enough to draw me back in either, because it felt like it could, start to get somewhere decent, but it doesn't. Like all the various suits and god suits or whatever, it's a different passive. That's it. You grind for a different passive ability. The combat is, there's a lot of mechanical issues as well. Like actions don't queue properly, so there's all sorts of weird shit going on there. It just becomes repetitive and tedious, and the online doesn't function, and just hated it. Couldn't stand it. So much promise there. I was like, I want to like this, but then there's so many little things that just chip away at it that make the system just not worth it, not worth engaging with past the first hour. So, I couldn't stand it.
The concept of like Dark Souls style combat with a loot sounds like kind of interesting, but yeah, it was just like, from the first moment I saw this game, I was like, man, something just seems off here. Like, this does not seem
it just looked and felt. Well, I mean, I didn't play it, but like it just looked generic in every sense. Like I was just like, sure.
And every trailer was a misstep. Like the first one, like the first original teaser was like, okay, that's interesting. The next one, the most inappropriate blasting, rap music is like,
oh
what is
my
this?
god, I forgot.
Dude.
Every single time I saw I can't say much about it. I've only seen trailers for Godfall, and I've watched Scott's video review and read the review. Every time I've seen this game, the one word pops into my mind: shovelware. That's it. I just think shovelware.
$69.99.
For $7 fucking.
It's the biggest kind of letdown with Godfall is that there is something there. There are glimmers of potential and kind of some really cool stuff. Like I think they nailed the level up system, like the skill progression. I thought that was done really well. I think the armors look badass. I think the weapons look badass. I think each of the weapon types behaves and feels different enough, like unique enough. But for every kind of good thing it tries to do, it hamstrings its stuff in so many other fashions. In terms of multiplayer, there's no crossplay and there's no matchmaking. So unless you have friends that play it on the same platform you play on, you can't play anything. Plus, you have to be online the entire time you if you want to use Godfall. With combat, there's enough monsters at a time where you will need to be kind of scrolling and looking around to see where you might be hitting from. But there's no hit indicators that someone off screen is about to hit you. and there's no way
There
to
is.
actually.
There actually are, and that's another bad thing because you can't tell. I had to have somebody else point it out to me and then look closely to actually see where it was. Like, that's the hit marker. Oh.
Well, and this kind of goes into what you were saying, Chris, about how bright and shiny everything is. The UI for the lock-on, and I guess these off-screen hit markers, it's a little bright, glowy white dot or a white frame, and the screen fills with effects and explosions and shine and bloom. It gets lost. And the fact that you can't toggle between enemies to lock onto, you have to physically unlock onto one, look at another, and then hopefully lock onto that one. It's like you can be looking at an enemy, and I have a clip of this in my review. I was looking at a kind of mini boss enemy, and I went to throw my shield, which is on like the only option, one of the only options you have for distance. Even though I was locked onto one enemy, staring right at him, I threw my shield and it sailed around the enemy I was trying to hit and hit some guy randomly off to the left. And it's just like, what the fuck? And in terms of all the armors, they look cool, but yeah, they might do bleed damage, or they might try and be better at inflicting bleed damage as opposed to fire damage, which is the exact same thing at the end of the day. They both do damage over the time. And you can either summon
like Warframes or anything.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that, where you get entirely different new layouts or anything. No, it's a passive. It's a single passive. That's it. And then the aesthetic choice. It's like, why? Why?
Reduce the amount of armors and make them each more unique. It's like they do cool things. Like, I am genuinely curious to see where this will end up a year from now, like what it will look like, because I maxed out the level. I got to level 50. I completed the god-awful campaign that goes nowhere, and is so vanilla, it makes vanilla ice cream look exciting. And I did the post-game content. I did some of the Tower of Trials, and it's just like, there's something here. Like, there were times I was gripped by that looter loop, like that looter grind. I just want to keep building out my character. But there were so many other things that tarnished it and made it just a slog to play that it's just like, this game has no right to be $70. Like, if this was $20 or free to play,
both of those are free to play. You get more out of it. There's more in it.
Yeah,
they're mechanically better. Skip it. It's trash.
Yeah,
I'd love for it to get good, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
I like vanilla ice cream.
I was gonna say, who's gonna come in here?
I like vanilla ice cream as well, and I'm not saying vanilla ice cream is bad. I'm just saying,
is vanilla ice cream game of the year?
We're not talking about Q4 ice creams here, my guy. We're talking about Q4 video games.
Look, man, you got a bucket of Haagen-Dazs vanilla. I'm here.
Look at least microtransactions on this vanilla ice cream is too much. They got the sprinkles now. What are they gonna do
Mike,
next?
I'm just gonna say, Mike, you can make and have vanilla ice cream in Trails of Cold Steel. I'm just saying, if that's another thing you need,
you're selling them.
You already sold me on this game. You gotta stop, or I'm gonna buy it right now. It's literally
next. You're gonna say has skateboarding in it.
It's on my screen.
No, not quite.
No, there's horseback riding and motorcycle racing.
All right.
One more thing about Godfall. Would it have been better if Gearbox stepped in and rode like a looter?
Fuck no.
Right? Like a looter kind of angle. But what if they called it Sorterlands?